Single day we are getting closer to kickoff. Like, guys, I don't think you realize how close the NFL season is. We've been talking about this all off season. What are we going to expect with guys like Tyreek Hill, Davante Adams changing teams? Obviously, we have some new storylines developing in the preseason. We have Damian Pierce skyrocketing up draft boards right now. Going to be excited to go through and look at what a current high stakes of fantasy football draft looks like in today's landscape. And what's great is for our warm-up draft here, we just pulled the 2 spot. So we're going to be locked into either Christian McCaffrey or Jonathan Taylor. Hell, we're hoping for JT, but when Christian McCaffrey falls to 2, you have to go ahead. You have to take Christian McCaffrey. We talked about this with the upside that you have. So let's see what the rest of the people in this draft decide to do and give us in the second round. But as we go through and fire this up, make sure you fix your life. Go down there, drop a like on the live stream, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. And I almost don't want to say this because it looks like it's actually going to happen. I said if we hit 90,000 subscribers on the channel, that instead of doing a 3-4 hour live stream drafting like we do every single night, I will do a 24-hour stream. Now, literally the reason I said that, I said 90,000 subscribers because I thought there was no way we were hitting it. I was like, oh, okay, well, if we say 90,000 subscribers, we'll probably get a lot of subscribers. We'll probably stop at like 80,000 and I won't have to do it. Well, looks like we are on pace where that's actually going to end up having to happen next week. So I'm actually probably going to have to go through and stream for 24 hours. I can't even imagine what that's going to look like. But if you want to watch it, make sure you go down there, you drop that like, you subscribe, and hit the bell next to the subscribe button so you know when we go live. But Joe Mixon sneaking his way up to 7 here very early for Mixon. Y'all know I have him as the running back 4 in fantasy football drafts at this point. I think that you can be very excited about the overall outlook on his 2022 season. Now, of course, when you're drafting on Underdog, you have to slide up these wide receivers. So it is very weird to see him going in front of someone like Stephon Diggs. In a casual fantasy football league, I would 100% do this. I wouldn't think twice about it because in that casual fantasy football draft, you're going to be able to find wide receiver value later. So it's not that big of a deal for you to decide to go ahead and take Mixon in the first, pass on Stephon Diggs, and grab whatever wide receivers you like in rounds 5, 6, 7. This is going to be much harder on Underdog. We have a lot of people on the chat right now. We got Mark, O'Deer, Shailene Fallony, Ty, Bobcat, Teresa Lorenzo. We got a lot of regulars. We have Derek out here as well. Of course, thank you all so much for coming out and hanging out with us on the live stream. Now we have Davante Adams off the board at 12. Very rarely are you getting Davante Adams falling to 12 on Underdog, where, as we've discussed, you have to slide these wide receivers up. I wonder if this is going to be an overall draft room where you can actually find wide receiver later, which is not something I'm used to. But you have DeAndre Swift, Saquon Barkley going here at pick 14 and 15. See what players are currently available. So you have CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, CeeDee Lamb never falls this far either. It looks like this may not be a typical Underdog draft. It looks like we may have a wide receiver we like make it into a pick 23. Okay. Aaron Jones at 16. Have y'all seen this? CeeDee's nuts is on the clock right now. So I'm imagining they're going CeeDee. They go Kamara. Did something happen with CeeDee Lamb? In a casual fantasy football format, I actually have CeeDee Lamb ranked at 18. Like in a casual league, yeah, this is where you take CeeDee Lamb. But on Underdog, you have to start three of these receivers. I've never seen them fall this far. Or at least, y'all know I've done over like 600 of these Underdog drafts this offseason. Over the past 2 months, I don't know if I've seen them this far. Yeah, Luke says he's never seen CeeDee Lamb fall so far either. Dear God, very, very interesting there. We're going to be on the clock in 2 picks. Looks like we're probably going to end up with a wide receiver as well, and we can probably get one of Leonard Fournette, Nick Chubb on the way back around. So let's take Tyreek Hill here, pick 23, just knowing that we're going to be able to get Leonard Fournette or Nick Chubb at pick 26. Honestly, probably would prefer Nick Chubb if that's the guy that ends up falling. Yeah, so Nick Chubb falls. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Nick Chubb. I think you can make an argument to go ahead and take Leonard Fournette over him, but given the fact that this is half PPR, not full PPR, and on top of it, the offensive line turnover we have for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I'll be willing to take Nick Chubb here, pick 26. But Leonard Fournette goes directly after 27. I'd imagine most people would prefer Leonard Fournette over Nick Chubb, but it is what it is. Not that big of a difference. And real quick, of course, if y'all are new here, I know nobody in this live stream's new, but maybe someone watching this as a video later on is. We do this every single night. We are drafting real money fantasy football drafts every single night on the live stream, so you can get in as many drafts as you could possibly want with us. We're probably going to fire up like 4, 5, 6 drafts tonight on the stream, and we do this literally every single night. Every single night. If you want to get in a draft with us, or if you maybe just want to have some fun, go get in a draft in the public lobby, go get in a draft with your friends. Remember, it's best ball. So because it's best ball, it takes no time at all during the season. It's how I'm able to go through and draft 600 of these teams every offseason. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. You can find the link for Underdog Fantasy in the description of the video. You can find it in the comment section. And when you sign up for Underdog and use promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You're going to get our 2022 fantasy football rankings, and you're going to get our 2022 fantasy football draft guide. So make sure you're taking advantage of that. But we have Keenan Allen, Josh Allen off the board here, back-to-back 31-32. So I think you can be really excited about that Stephon Diggs team at 8. Now they're getting Josh Allen, making it back to them at 32. What I would say is when you have CeeDee Lamb falling to you in this format, it's very tough to pass on CeeDee Lamb there at 17. Like that team could have started Diggs, Lamb, and Josh Allen. That would have been very exciting. Suzuki coming out says, hey, Mason, it's my birthday. It's on the 5th of September. Can't wait for that 24-hour of the best channel for football. And yes, thank you. Thank you, my man. Looking forward to your birthday. I hope you have a great one this year. And thank you, as always, for coming out, hanging out with us right away in the live stream. Thank you for also going out there. Every single video we premiere, going and leaving a comment immediately. Okay. So now we have Jalen Waddle off the board here, pick 35. Y'all know Jalen Waddle is someone that I like. Like, usually I am rooting for Jalen Waddle to fall to us at the beginning of the third round, the beginning of the fourth round, the middle of the fourth round. But in reality, when we're not picking again until pick 47, there's a 0% chance that he ends up making it to us at that point. So let's see what this team here does with Joey. Danky says, I just finished a best ball draft with 3 tight end premium. Oh, okay. So you're saying 3 points per reception for the tight end position? I can't even imagine that, my friend. Kelsey goes 101 there. I'm assuming, right? Kelsey 101, Andrews 102. I don't know if you go then Jonathan Taylor Pitts 103, but I'd imagine you have to lock in Kelsey and Andrews 101, 102. Nick says, did you do a 24-hour live stream last year? No, guys. Like, literally, I said we would do a 24-hour live stream if we hit 90,000 subscribers because I thought there was a 0% chance we hit it. It's still not guaranteed that we hit it. I'm just starting to get very worried because I think that 0% chance is closer to about maybe a 50-50 at this point. And I can't imagine how I could even do something like that. I don't know how it's going to be physically possible. I mean, streaming 4 hours is tough. 20. I can't imagine. I literally can't imagine it. Okay. So Jerry Jeudy off the board, pick 42. So we are kind of wanting wide receivers to make it back to us. Usually I'm not taking wide receivers in this range once Deontay Johnson's off the board because the guys like Brandon Cooks, Rashad Bateman, they're just not nearly as appealing to me as these running backs, quarterbacks, and tight ends. So Ezekiel Elliott off here, pick 45. So see what Derek decides to do. I think his pick is going to 100% have a large impact on ours. Lamar off the board. So once he goes Lamar Jackson, let's just guarantee that we're going to get one of these quarterbacks here. We're going to take Patrick Mahomes, pick 47. I love grabbing the elite level quarterback in this range. Once I feel like we don't necessarily have wide receivers with top 5 upside or running backs with top 5 upside either. Uncle Piff in a draft with us, longtime member of the flock, goes Chris Godwin, pick 48 as his third wide receiver here. Let's see what else he decides to do at pick 49. He goes J.K. Dobbins. Let's think this through. Do we just go ahead and take Breece Hall? I think we take Breece Hall. In this format in particular, we are 100% incentivized to grab a wide receiver here. And y'all know I like Deontay Johnson. But if we're looking at the upside that Breece Hall can have in the second half of the season, I think that he's a running back that once he falls to in the 5th round, obviously reports out of training camp aren't great. Looks like Michael Carter's going to have that very large role there for the beginning portion of this season, as we've discussed previously. But I think it's a fine selection at 50. Luke says non-PPR, who should I take between Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry? Honestly, up to you, my friend. Like, if you're transitioning from a PPR format to a non-PPR with rankings, if you just think about it, hell, Christian McCaffrey is probably going to get 60 more receptions minimum than Derrick Henry if both running backs stay healthy this upcoming season. So that's why in a PPR format, it's literally a no-brainer. You go Christian McCaffrey, and it's not even a thought because he's getting the extra 60 points just based off the receptions. In a non-PPR format, it's up to you. I would love to know your thoughts on this. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section or in the live chat. What do you think? In non-PPR format, you going Derrick Henry or Christian McCaffrey? Non-PPR, Derrick Henry or Christian McCaffrey. Cam Akers off the board here at pick 54. Once we go 3 running backs in a row with CMC, Nick Chubb, and Breece Hall through the first 5 rounds, we are 100% wanting more running backs off the board. Let's see if that happens. I mean, in reality, we're still going to be able to take 2 more running backs. It's going to be a private draft, so we're not as incentivized to just hammer in wide receivers as we would be in a tournament. Okay. So let's see. CMC, Henry, CMC, Henry, CMC, Henry. Sounds like most people are saying Derrick Henry. Like I said, I think it's going to be up to you. I think if you were to take Derrick Henry over Christian McCaffrey in a PPR format, you are crazy, like legitimately lost your mind. In a non-PPR format, I think you can do whatever you want. Okay, so Metcalf off the board here, pick 57. Metcalf has been a wide receiver falling to the 6th round a lot lately. Interesting to see him go off here, and I guess that means we are going to be less likely to get him, less likely to get a wide receiver that we would like if we're seeing these wide receivers slide up a bit. So Darren Waller off the board, pick 55. I just recorded a video right before we went live with our updated top 50 rankings. And recently we are going to have to go ahead and move George Kittle above Darren Waller. Based on the reports that we're getting about Darren Waller with his agent just sounding a little weird. And if we combine that with the fact that he hasn't been on training camp, I'm not going to panic. Like, I still really like the value of Darren Waller 55. But at the same time, I think it's enough to break the tie in favor of George Kittle at this point. Okay. Now we have Darnell Mooney off the board here, pairing up with Kyler Murray at the 5-6 turn. Michael Thomas goes pick 63. So very interesting that all of a sudden we are getting some of these wide receivers flying off. Now, if we were on the clock 7 picks from now, there are a few names in particular that I'm going to hope make it back. Of course, they're not guarantees, but we'll see what we get. Derek says, who plays non-PPR? Good question, my friend. Good question. Like, non-PPR essentially just comes down to who can guess the player scoring the touchdowns. Touchdowns are pretty much the most random statistic from a projection standpoint in fantasy football. Of course, you can go out there and you can say, oh, well, obviously we know that players playing in great offenses, they're going to be more likely to score touchdowns. So maybe make the argument you just want to target those elite level offenses. But still, at the same time, I mean, trying to figure that out, it is going to be tough. I'd rather look at volume and chase volume in just the regular PPR format. So Elijah Moore off the board here. Brandon Ayuk goes 68. Oh my gosh, I just checked in on the Seattle Seahawks box score. And of course, I'm box score scouting right now. You should not do this, but still. Drew Lock, 5 for 11, 74 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. That is gross. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Drake London here. We are going to double dip with some of these rookies with Drake London as well as Breece Hall. I think that this is the wide receiver 1 in this draft class and the running back 1 in this draft class. And I don't think it's relatively close either. Of course, you don't have London in a great situation having to play with Marcus Mariota alongside Kyle Pitts, but I think we're getting an adequate discount here. And then as our 4th running back, I know nobody's going to like this. I get it. I understand it. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Josh Jacobs. With a tournament format, as we already discussed, I think, yes, you're going to be more incentivized to go with the wide receiver, try to chase the highest ceiling possible for that final 3-week stretch. But I really like just getting a running back here that we think is going to be consistent with the role that he has throughout the season. And if we're looking at Jacobs, he's averaged the running back 14 finish over the past 3 years. Had his best season yet in terms of being used as a pass catcher this past year. We expect some regression in that regard with Devontae Adams coming over, with Darren Waller hopefully staying healthy. But still, 7th round Josh Jacobs is going to be a pick that I'm completely fine making. Like, I mean, I think if we're looking at Amari Cooper here, he's going to be a little bit less appealing in this format than he would be in a tournament. Because obviously in a tournament, weeks 15, 16, 17, you could expect Amari Cooper to potentially be a wide receiver 1 during that time period if Deshaun Watson looks like what he used to. Bobcat coming out says, are you doing any fan meetups anytime soon? I promise you I will get you one this year. Trust me, guys. I've had so much fun at the Flock meetups we've done over the past 2 years. So much fun. Now, at the same time, it's just very difficult for me to schedule a Flock meetup during the football season. I legitimately don't have time. It would be a lot. So thinking more and more about it, I'm 100% going to have a meetup. I don't know if it'll be before the season. It'll probably be right after the year. It'll probably be right after the season, which will suck because not as many people are going to be watching the YouTube channel, so not as many people will come out, but still, we get 10 people out there. It'll still be really fun. It would be in Austin, Texas. Santiago says, Mason, how close are we to the sub goal? We are pretty close, my friend. Right now we have 82.7 thousand subscribers. So I'm no mathematician, but I think that we need 7.3 thousand subscribers over. We'd have to get it done by like the Tuesday leading up to kickoff. Let me pull this up. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We got pretty much 11 days to get the 7,300 subscribers. So this is how many we need. 660 per day. The past 2 days, we've had 750 each. That's why I'm a little bit more worried that this is actually going to happen. Like, I thought that we were going to be safe from having to do the 24-hour live stream, but it is definitely more worrisome. And of course, if you want to help us get to that goal, I know everybody watching this is already subscribed, but go down there, drop a like on the live stream. If we hit 300 likes in the stream, we are going to fire up another draft for this one. It will be a $250 draft. And also, you'll help us continue to get recommended out to new people. We're streaming these every single night. Would love to get 3, 4, 5, 6 drafts going tonight. Jalopy Sausage, long time no see. Says, hey Mason, been lurking in the streams for a while, but I finally had my draft. Half PPR, 12-team league. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes, wide receiver Jamar Deontay Juju, running back Swift Ramondre Stevenson. We had the elite level tight end as well with Kyle Pitts, flex Darnell Mooney. What are your thoughts? I like it. Obviously, you're a little bit weak at running back 2, but if there is a spot to be weak at in fantasy football, it is going to be that running back 2 slot because we can assume that we are going to be able to be active on the waiver wire. I know that you are. At least last year, I remember you being incredibly active on waivers as the year went through. So that will be something you can go through and backfill. Will be that running back 2 spot. Hopefully we get that upgrade over Ramondre Stevenson. I know a lot of people love Ramondre. Like, he goes here right before we take Josh Jacobs in this draft. I'm not sold in him being a top 24 running back option this upcoming season in a full PPR format. I mean, half PPR format regardless. But definitely a strong team. Not too much to say, to be honest. I think we just got to work the waiver wire for that running back too. Okay, so Chris Olave off the board. Miles Sanders gone as well. Let's see what we are going to get. Obviously, y'all know we want Marquez Valdez-Scantling when we take Patrick Mahomes. We took Patrick Mahomes. We are looking for MVS pick 95. Derek on the clock. He goes Rashad Penny. Hell yes, we get Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Let's go ahead and make the easy pick when we have Patrick Mahomes. In a casual fantasy football draft, there are a couple players in this range I would prefer having over MVS. But I think in this format, it's going to make a lot of sense. Uncle Piff decides to go George Pickens 96. I think at this point, maybe we just fire up another freaking running back and call it a day. See what he decides to do here. So at running back, he has Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, Ramondre Stevenson. At quarterback, he has Joe Burrow. He has A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, Chris Godwin, George Pickens at receiver. He goes Robert Woods. Let's monopolize every single touch in Cleveland here. Let's go with a Kareem Hunt. Now, yes, we've gone overboard with running back. No, in a tournament-style contest on Underdog, you would not want to go with this strategy. You would not want to go this early, this heavy in on running backs. But in a private draft, I think it's going to be completely fine. We don't necessarily need to just optimize our ceiling for the highest possible outcome weeks 15, 16, 17. So let's lock in those running back touches now, and then we'll be able to follow it up with hopefully a lot of wide receiver depth a little later on. Okay, so let's move this down. Matthew Stafford off the board, pick 100 here. We have a donation coming out from Riley. Thank you, my man. It says, yo, man, saw you on Fantasy Pros earlier. What was going through your mind as Pat was hyping up Antonio Gibson? Only good things, my friend. Only good things. I will say, when Gibson, I don't necessarily want to say Gibson's a strong value as was being advocated in like the 8th, but there is a point to be made if he is falling to like the 10th round. I think I can say Gibson's a strong value if he's falling to the 10th. I mean, it's not like I was screaming to people, for people to avoid him when he was going back in the 7th. Like Antonio Gibson would go in the 7th, and occasionally I would draft him. And what I would say every time we took Antonio Gibson is this is a player with an extremely wide range of outcomes. He may be the backup running back over Brian Robinson if he fumbles the football again. But at the same time, given his athletic profile, given his build, he does still have access to a very high ceiling if he could finally put it all together. So we said that there were two complete opposite scenarios that could end up playing out with Antonio Gibson. One of the running backs with the highest, largest range of outcomes. I think we have a much better feel on which way he is actually going this upcoming season. But of course, thank you for coming out, my friend. Sam coming out says, who is your least drafted player because of his ADP and why he's overvalued? Then devil's advocates sell me on the possibilities he could be undervalued. This is my specialty, my friend. Playing both sides of the fence is something I am great at. And let me go through and show you how little I've drafted Courtland Sutton. Let's actually look at this. It's obviously on Underdog Fantasy. You can go through and you can literally just look at your exposures. And because I've drafted like 600 teams, I've actually drafted over 600 teams this offseason. If I take a player in like, say, 3 drafts or 4 drafts, but I haven't hit 6 or 7, it will say 0% drafted. Courtland Sutton, hopefully you can see that. 0% drafted. With Sutton, he's going in the 3rd round. I will say that back when he was going in the 3rd round before the Tim Patrick injury, there was no excuse for that ADP. That ADP was straight up garbage. Like, I would have never considered taking him there in a million years. He's a 27-year-old wide receiver that's never been a top 24 guy on a points per game basis, outproduced by Jerry Jeudy when they were both on the same field last season. But now that Tim Patrick's out of the situation, I am fine if you want to take Sutton at his ADP. I am not going to be doing it, but you probably noticed I haven't been coming out in every single live stream talking down on the Courtland Sutton value, laughing at people drafting Sutton in 3rd, because Tim Patrick leaving this offense is a massive, massive deal here. Like, one of our main theses here and why we were avoiding both Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton is I thought this could be a very, very diversified offense with the weapons that they would go to on a week-to-week basis between Sutton, Jeudy, Hamler, Patrick, Albert O, Dolchus, even the running backs. But if we're going to be fair, if we try to play the opposite end of the spectrum with Sutton, during small stretches of his NFL career, you have seen elite level ceilings with a very bad quarterback play. And now he has a quarterback that should hopefully be able to suit his skill set. But as we always do, now that we are done with this $3 warm-up draft, we're not done with this. We're going to have to finish this on my phone. But as we are drafting in this $3 warm-up draft, I entered into the $250 high-stakes lobby on Underdog, and it just filled. I got a little notification on my computer that it filled. I do not know where we are picking from. We are going to learn this together. Give us a top 5. Give us a top 5 pick, even 6. Give us a top 6 pick now that Ekeler is looking a lot more appealing. Right outside of it. Are you kidding me here? Right outside of that top 6 pick. Now, we are, of course, going up against the who's who of fantasy football. Draft the next CSU Ram. We got some heavy hitters in this draft. Hopefully, we can go through. Hopefully, we don't embarrass ourselves. I'd imagine we go ahead. We take Stephon Diggs at pick 7. Yeah, I think this is going to be a Stephon Diggs start at pick 7, guys. And I understand a lot of people are going to say, Mason, you clown, take a running back here. Trust me, I understand it. But in reality, I want the running back value in the mid-rounds. Davion coming out says, a feeling on Josh Jacobs. I think Josh Jacobs is probably one of the most hated players in fantasy football right now. I understand why people would be nervous based on the changing coaching, based on the usage in the preseason game as well. Like, there are a couple of red flags that you have here with Josh Jacobs, but because the hate has gone so far where you are looking at Josh Jacobs as a player that we get in the 7th round, I'm willing to draft him in the 7th. Like, I was drafting him in the 6th. That was before we saw the preseason Hall of Fame game. But you know what? We actually get Austin Ekeler here. I'm happy to take Austin Ekeler at pick 7 now. Like, going back to what we used to do this offseason, like, Austin Ekeler was someone I was taking behind Stephon Diggs because the running back value you'd be able to find later on Underdog. But now, because you have the Isaiah Spiller injury, you have Isaiah Spiller looking like he wasn't going to be a capable running back 2 there even before the injury. Austin Ekeler, in my opinion, is now a tier 1 running back. Like, I was talking about some of the red flags. I've always had him ranked as running back 3, but I was taking those elite level wide receivers before him. I'm happy to get Ekeler here at 7. Finders Flippers coming out. Thank you. Says, have the 101 spot in the 102. Drafting. Oh my gosh. Should I lock up JT and Christian McCaffrey or go for a balance with Jonathan Taylor and Justin Jefferson? My friend, you are in a great spot. Please, please, please do not overthink it. Of course, it's a little bit worrisome going ahead and taking Christian McCaffrey after what we've had over the past 2 years. But lock in CMC, Jonathan Taylor. I don't know how you were able to pull the 101 and 102. But you are going to get a significant, and I repeat, a significant edge over your league mates. Okay. Okay, so now we have Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb going off the board here at the 1-2 turn. Let's see if we end up actually getting a Najee Harris or an Alvin Kamara falling to us here. I wouldn't be too surprised if it actually happened. So Najee Harris off the board 16. I'd imagine CSURM locks in Alvin Kamara. So at this point, it is pretty difficult with what we actually want to do. Do we just... Let's take a wide receiver. I think it is going to be a very boring start through the first 2 rounds. I think Deebo Samuel does have a considerable amount of red flags if you're looking at the transition over to Trey Lance, if we're looking at the goal line role in particular. But at the same time, it's going to be very hard to find wide receiver value later on. That's why we were talking about taking Stephon Diggs over at Derrick Henry, over at Dalvin Cook back at pick 7 before we knew Austin Ekeler was falling to us. So let's just take best wide receiver available. Like I said, it is a tough spot to be in general. I think we are in no man's land. It would have been very exciting to get a Najee Harris making it back to us. But Zulu coming out says, non-PPR 8-team league, trade away Elijah Mitchell for Michael Thomas. In a non-PPR format, especially an 18 league, my friend, it is going to be so easy to find wide receivers. No. But please, please, keep Elijah Mitchell. I'm not going to be overthinking it too much. It's an 8-team non-PPR format. Elijah Mitchell doesn't have a ton of receiving upside, but in reality, who cares in that situation? Dan coming out, thank you, my man, says, what's good, bro? Will this be a 2 big dog night, or will there only be 1? Great appearance earlier with Joe P and Pat. Thank you, my friend, and possibly we'll get 2 going. Let's see. Let me see how filled it is. Like I said, I think we can go 2 for a couple nights here just because the big dog is about to fill. That's 86% filled. So I think we can probably draft tonight, tomorrow night, and then maybe they'll turn into slow drafts. I'm not exactly sure. But now we have Kyle Pitts off the board here, pick 26. Obviously, Kyle Pitts has been a player that's been moving up draft boards. Keenan Allen off 29. Let's go ahead. Because we take Ekeler, let's take Mike Williams, and we'll lock in Justin Herbert in the 4th. Let's go Ekeler, Mike Williams. We'll take Justin Herbert on the way back around in the 4th. We'll get the double stack. I do prefer DJ Moore over Mike Williams in a vacuum, to be completely honest. But at the same time, if we are going to go ahead and set ourselves up with the potential to take the elite level quarterback, I'm not as worried about a Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson falling to us at pick 55 as I used to be. Because it used to be very hard for me to take Justin Herbert in the 4th round when we thought there was a possibility we'd get Mahomes at pick 55. But now that's no longer a possibility. We're fine taking Herbert. Let's get the double stack. Let's move on. Obviously, it's not going to be that unique of a combo. Like, a lot of people are doing this. That's why the ADP falls in this range. But it is what it is. Okay. Finders Flipper says, traded my 2nd, 3rd, and 7th for the 102, 10th, and 15th. Had an extra 3rd from another trade. Okay, I would say that in a shallow redraft format, this is something that I am way more willing to do. Like, in Dynasty Fantasy Football all offseason, the name of the game is going through and trying to trade back every chance you get. Like, literally, trade back, pick up an extra piece. Trade back, pick up an extra piece. Trade back, pick up. But in a shallow redraft format, because your options on the waiver wire are going to be so good as the season goes through, like, I'm completely fine going out there and overpaying for a stud. Like, that's one thing that I definitely changed over the past few years in understanding how to optimize for those extremely shallow formats. Because your waiver wire is going to be so loaded, let's just go out of our way. Let's grab like the 101, 102 and take Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, and tell our league mates good luck catching up when you only have 1 or 2 flex spots to do so. Okay. Now, Gabe Davis goes off the board here, pick 38 to pair up with Josh Allen at 35. So Jalen Waddle off the board, 39. Yeah, then we go ahead. Like I said, Ezekiel Elliott falling a little bit here, but our initial plan, Justin Herbert. Let's not deviate. We're going to go Justin Herbert. We are going to pair him up with the combination of Mike Williams and Austin Ekeler. Reaching a little bit here, but I think it makes sense when we have the double stack. And as I said, based on the trends I've been seeing in these drafts lately, it is less and less likely that a Lamar Jackson, that a Patrick Mahomes ends up falling to us at pick 55. Okay. New account says, one flex league suck. It is so random who wins. Yeah, to be completely honest with you guys, if you play in a league where you only start 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, and a flex, I don't want to say it's random who wins, but one player can completely just change the entire landscape. Like having Cooper Kupp, having Jonathan Taylor, having Mark Andrews in a format like that, it doesn't matter if you are a horrible drafter the rest of the way. You're going to be sitting pretty. You're going to be in a good spot overall, where if you're playing in a league with extra flex spots, you do have to have a much more well-balanced roster, where what I would recommend doing is add a couple extra starting lineup spots, add a couple bench spots as well. It's just going to, honestly, I don't want to say take the randomness out of it, but it's going to benefit the drafters who care the most, who know the most, and who are the best. I think that's something that would improve your fantasy football league if we could take some randomness out of it and you reward the best players. I don't know. Personally, that's how I'd be thinking of it. So you have Ezekiel Elliott finally off the board here, pick 47. I do think that Ezekiel Elliott is someone that does need to go ahead and start falling. Breece Hall goes 48. Davion says, I know people aren't as high on Waddle because of Tyreek Hill, but what are your thoughts? I love Jalen Waddle. I mean, if we go through it, if we look at Jalen Waddle's rookie season, historically speaking, it compares to guys like Julio Jones, AJ Green. Now, the issue is if we were going to be looking at Jalen Waddle and we are going to say, oh my gosh, well, he's in a very bad situation. It's baked into the price. So we can sit here and we can talk about how bad of a situation it is for Jalen Waddle to be playing alongside Tyreek Hill in a low volume passing attack with Tua Tagovailoa there. But that's why you're getting Jalen Waddle in the 4th round. If Jalen Waddle was in a good situation, historically speaking, based on his rookie season production, this would be a player that's going in a completely different range of the draft. This would be a player that instead is going probably at the end of the 2nd round. Sorry, we have to go through. We have to make sure we're making our picks in that other draft. So we have George Kittle off the board here, pick 52. Obviously, as I discussed earlier, Darren Waller is a player that you're expecting to fall. If Waller makes it to us at 55, I wonder if we go ahead, we just take Darren Waller, though. So Dobbins off the board, 53. J.K. Dobbins is someone that we've talked about. I think that he will have a 4th round ADP by the time the season gets here. Derek says Tua isn't good. Derek, are you kidding me? This is what I need to ask you, Derek. Have you caught a pass from Tua Tagovailoa before? Have you ever stepped onto a football field with Tua Tagovailoa? I'm going to assume that you haven't. And the only person that I know that has stepped on that football field with Tua is Tyreek Hill. And Tyreek Hill tells us that Tua Tagovailoa is the most accurate quarterback in the NFL. So who are you to say that he is not good? The most accurate quarterback in the NFL coming from a first-hand source. You're just embarrassing yourself out here, my man. You are embarrassing yourself. Like, he's literally, would you rather have arm strength with Patrick Mahomes or would you rather have the accuracy with Tua? You take the accuracy 10 times out of 10. 10 times out of 10. Okay, so Monroe St. Brown off the board, pick 57 here. So CSU Ram reaches a little bit on Kyler to get the Hollywood Brown stack. That makes a lot of sense. I want to see how far does Darren Waller fall? Like, there's a 0% chance Darren Waller would make it back to us at 66. You have the team that decided to take Travis Kelce, pairing him up with Darren Waller. So I'm not going to lie. I like that. I like that in a tournament style draft. All jokes aside, guys, if you're new to the live stream, it's a joke. Tua is not good, okay? I do not think Tua is good. I think that Jalen Waddle is an unbelievable talent. I think that he's going to be able to overcome the situation and provide high-end wide receiver 2, low-end wide receiver 1 upside like he did last season as a rookie. But Tua is not good. Tua is not good. Now, let's see what this team does at pick 62. They have 3 running backs. We went Cam Akers in the middle of the 5th. I mean, we've talked about Cam Akers a lot. I understand we have to be worried about the torn Achilles. I understand that, yes, if we look at the track record for those players, it's not great. But at the same time, with Cam Akers, this is someone that was a 1st-round pick before the torn Achilles last year. He looked very bad at the end of last season, but he was 6 months removed from it. He's had an extra 6 months to rehab now. So I'm going to be completely fine taking Cam Akers in the 5th round. I'm going to do that consistently. Now, let's see. EC2 on the clock. They have Derrick Henry, Najee Harris at running back. They go Adam Thielen here, pick 64. CSU Ram on the clock. I'm assuming they go Darnell Mooney. Yeah, I'm assuming we see him go Darnell Mooney. Things down to the very last second. They go Montgomery. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Darnell Mooney here as our wide receiver 3. I think that is going to be a no-brainer selection. Y'all know I hated Justin Fields in fantasy football last year based on where the hype was in a bad situation. But now I think people are a lot more realistic with their Justin Fields expectations this upcoming season, where I actually find it reasonable to draft Justin Fields based on the rushing upside that he has this upcoming year. So we're going to take Darnell Mooney, probably look for Fields a little later on. But we'll see. We'll see. Okay. We'll scroll this down a bit. Ryan coming out says Kadarius Toney, TJ Hawkinson, or Marcus Valdez-Scantling at 106. Have Darren Waller. I'd say, obviously, in my opinion, Hawkinson's the best value. But when you have Darren Waller, actually, you're saying this is a best ball draft? If this is a best ball draft, you go Hawkinson. If this is best ball, you go Hawkinson. If it's just a regular fantasy football league where you're not going to be able to go through and get excited about throwing in Hawkinson in the flex, I would say you go ahead and take Kadarius Toney for the upside. Okay. So now we have Allen Lazard, Brandon Ayuk going directly after. So Dalton Schultz being paired up with the George Kittle team. We did this in a draft last night on the live stream where we ended up taking George Kittle in the middle of the 5th, and then we took Dalton Schultz in the middle of the 7th. Okay, so London off the board, pick 71. Lance goes 72. Okay, crap. We need to make sure that we're making our picks in the other draft. Okay, let's lock in Taysom Hill here. Okay, we ended up going Goff. Okay, I guess it's fine. That seems actually fine. We ended up accidentally auto-picking, but didn't ruin it. Okay, so Amari Cooper off the board here, 74. Very interesting to see Elijah Mitchell fall this far. Obviously, Elijah Mitchell has been dealing with an injury in camp. At the same time, we have talked about the track record with running backs in that Kyle Shanahan system. You don't know exactly who it's going to be. But I feel like at this price point, Elijah Mitchell is 100% someone worth drafting. I mean, it's the 7th round. Let's see if he ends up making it back to us. Maybe we go with a running back we've been taking a lot. Maybe we should stop drafting. Jacobs in the 7th. Elijah Mitchell finally off the board. Derek says, another big dog. I want in. Maybe, my man. Because it's about to fill, I think we may hop in another one here. But remember, last time we thought there was going to be an overlay with the big dog contest. This time it looks like it's going to fill way before the season starts. Okay, so Chase Edmonds off the board, 77. Chi-Town True on the clock. I'm going to be fine with Jacobs or Hopkins. They go Hopkins, so let's take Josh Jacobs here. I understand no smart person on the planet likes Josh Jacobs. There are real reasons to be concerned. But because of that, we are getting him at a serious discount. It's Josh Jacobs versus Christian Kirk. I understand. 100% I understand why someone would not be excited about drafting Jacobs here. I mean, if anybody eats into his workload whatsoever, he's already a running back with a cap ceiling, so it may be a disaster. But if we are looking back at win rates and advance rates this past year, I think that Jacobs is going to end up looking pretty good. Now, Christian Kirk, Kadarius Toney off the board here, big 80, 82. Ramondre Stevenson off the board at 83. Ramondre went a lot earlier in the last draft. Okay, so Dameon Pierce off as well. We kind of want to see these running backs go. I mean, I'll take Clyde Edwards-Helaire if Clyde Edwards-Helaire makes it to us. But we kind of want to see these running backs off the board. And of course, if y'all want to get in the next draft with us, we do these drafts every single night on the live stream. You should know this by now, unless you've been living under a rock or drafting on Underdog Fantasy. My opinion, the best place to draft, and it's best ball, so there's no time commitment at all during the season. You can get into as many of these drafts as you possibly can imagine. I'm going to do like 700 this offseason. And when you sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. You'll get our 2022 fantasy football rankings. You'll get our 2022 fantasy football draft guide. And that draft guide will help you even if you've already had your draft, to be completely honest. Just make sure you go through the link in the description, the link in the live chat, and sign up with promo code FLOCK. But we have Tom Brady off the board, 91. I feel like Hunter Renfrow is a pick that we have to make here when we're going to be looking at building wide receiver depth out in these middle rounds. We already bet on Josh Jacobs. Maybe, just maybe, we make the argument, oh, let's take Derek Carr. Let's bet that the Las Vegas Raiders offense is hyper. In reality, I just think you have to take Hunter Renfrow. He's the best value on the board. Okay. So Marquez Valdes-Scantling off the board, pick 95. Chris Olave, 96. Okay, at this point, Kareem Hunt would be someone I'd be very excited about on the way back around to pick 103. There are a couple of these teams before us that need running backs, like Rorschach only sitting with 2 guys. I mean, they are Jonathan Taylor and Ezekiel Elliott, so never mind. I guess he doesn't, quote-unquote, need running backs. He does decide to go ahead and take Miles Sanders here. Dawson Knox off the board, 99. Kareem Hunt goes. Okay, Hunt was going to be the player we were looking at this point. I think we want Treylon Burks if he makes it. Okay, what was the story with Damian Harris? Harris undisclosed, didn't suit up for Friday's preseason finale against the Raiders, blah, blah, blah. tweak something during positional drills. Okay, I didn't know if they were just going through with a random rest day. Okay, so George Pickens off the board here, 101. Pickens obviously sliding up a considerable amount. I think this is how we break it down. I am going to prefer Burks over Robert Woods in this style of contest, given the fact that if you're going to be looking at Treylon Burks, we should expect that production to be during the back half of the season, weeks 15, 16, 17. And if we're going to be looking at this style of contest, 4 teams advance to that fantasy football playoff tournament, weeks 15, 16, 17. So I'm going to take the player that has the highest ceiling during that stretch. Here's CSU Ram goes Tyler Lockett, 104. Lockett has been someone I've been drafting a lot. But Julian coming out, thank you, my friend, says 12-team half PPR settings, 6 or 7 bench spots, waiver time. Okay. I'm assuming you're asking us optimal settings. I would go ahead. I would add as many bench spots as possible. I would try to get 7, 8, 9 bench spots. I know a lot of people like to keep it shallow at 5 or 6. In reality, it's just going to, not necessarily incentivize owners. It's going to allow lazy owners to get away with being lazy because there are always going to be options off the waiver wire leading up until kickoff where they're able to just go through and like, oh crap, I need a wide receiver. And they're going to be able to go find someone like Tyler Boyd off the waiver wire if you only have 5 bench spots. Okay, so Rondale Moore, Robert Woods, Chase Claypool off the board here at the end of the 9th. James Cook would have been a player I'd have been very excited about making it back to us. Obviously, it's unrealistic to assume that we are going to get James Cook on the way back around in the 10th, but it would have been very nice. It would have been very nice. Okay. And if you have not done so already, please go down there, guys. Drop a like in the live stream. It helps us out so much. Let's move this over. How far is Devin Singletary going to fall in this draft? Singletary hasn't been someone that we've been drafting a lot because he had an ADP 1 point before James Cook, which was pretty laughable. But Matty on the clock. They have DeAndre Swift at running back. They have both elite level tight ends with Travis Kelce and Darren Waller as well. So they go Devin Singletary here, 111. Y'all know I've been drafting a lot of Tyler Boyd. Rodgers wouldn't be, I guess Rodgers wouldn't be the worst pick in the world. If we wanted to go ahead and take Rodgers, get Christian Watson on the way back around. Y'all know I'm a fan of drafting Christian Watson at his ADP. CSU Ram on the clock. Here's Tyler Boyd. Let's lock in Cordell Patterson. I feel like we haven't gone overboard with running backs at this point. We'll go ahead and take Cordell Patterson. Running back 15 on a points per game basis last year did provide you some random spike weeks, but if I'm going to be honest with you, we are expecting serious regression as everybody is expecting serious regression or he wouldn't be going anywhere close to this range. I think that you could see Tyler Algier coming in and taking a role that is comparable to what Mike Davis had last year, and that not necessarily eating into Cordell Patterson's usage in the receiving game. So I'm completely fine with him at pick 114. Of course, the fact that last year was an outlier type season for him, combined with the fact that he's 31 years old, not the best spot in the world, but I think he's going to be a capable running back for it, and we get usable weeks from him. Okay. So let's move this down, and Tico says Patterson will run more routes. Yeah, if you look at the amount of targets that are available in Atlanta, based on Calvin Ridley getting suspended, I mean, Russell Gage leaving, a couple other depth pieces leaving as well. Like, even though they add in Drake London, this is a team that needs pass catchers. Like, on the whole, they are losing a significant amount of firepower across the board compared to what they had last season. Okay, so now we have a lot of wide receivers off. McCole Hardman goes 119. I'm going to assume that Rorschach decided to take Patrick Mahomes a little earlier on. So we have Darrell Henderson and Naheem Hines here going off the board before Kenneth Walker. Very interesting, obviously, here with Kenneth Walker. You have to move him down ever so slightly, or maybe dramatically, given the surgery he had. But at this point, we don't exactly know what to expect. I would still be completely fine drafting Kenneth Walker if you were to make it back around to us. But Joshua Palmer off 122. So you still have Rodgers, you still have Cousins. I would be excited about Rodgers. I don't necessarily know about Cousins. I mean, we didn't take Thielen. We didn't take Justin Jefferson. I'm not too excited about taking Irv Smith Jr. on the way back around just to force in a stack here. So to be honest with you, I probably wouldn't take Cousins. I would take Rodgers. Kenneth Walker goes off the board at 123, so we're not going to be getting him. I would have been excited about Walker. Gallup goes 124, a wide receiver that we've been drafting a ton. Dr. Stanky Leg on the clock. Lamar quarterback. They have the double Baltimore stack with Dobbins and Andrews, even though I'd argue Dobbins doesn't correlate that well with Lamar. Let's see what else they do. This is the Jefferson team. They go Rodgers over Cousins. Interesting. I mean, I prefer Rodgers. I just assumed the Jefferson team would go Cousins. Maybe we were really just hoping that they would, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Chi-Town True. They have 2 running backs. I'd imagine they go ahead and take Brian Robinson here. Let's see. They go Rashad White. I know most people aren't going to like this, and trust me, it was very, very funny whenever Russell Gage was going back in the 6th round. But to go ahead, get Russell Gage in the middle 11th here, I think it is going to be fine. Jesse coming out, thank you, my friend, says a full PPR double flex. What would you prefer? Cooper Kupp, Saquon Barkley, Javonte Williams, Travis Etienne, Deontay Johnson, or Joe Mixon, CeeDee Lamb, Javonte Williams. Okay, so let's move Javonte out of this. DJ Moore and Dobbins. Okay, so I'd say Etienne and Dobbins are in a similar tier. I probably prefer Etienne in a full PPR format, but it's close. DJ Moore, Deontay Johnson, they're in a similar tier. I prefer DJ Moore, but it's close. So I'd say that we can take DJ Moore and Dobbins off the deal. We can take Travis Etienne and Deontay Johnson off the deal because I think if we look at them side by side, it is fair. We could take Javonte Williams out of it because it's the same player. So it's essentially, would you rather have Kupp and Saquon Barkley or Joe Mixon and CeeDee Lamb? Personally, I'm going to prefer Kupp and Saquon Barkley. I love me some Joe Mixon. But at the end of the day, Saquon Barkley has a similar ceiling, if not a higher ceiling. And at the same time, if we're going to be looking at Cooper Kupp just coming off one of the best wide receivers seasons of all time, where CeeDee Lamb's coming off the wide receiver 16 season. So let's go ahead. Let's take Kupp and Saquon Barkley. So Brian Robinson goes 133. Isaiah Pacheco off the board, 134. Okay, so I think we are going to be looking at either tight end or quarterback here. I'm assuming we're going to get Justin Fields to pair up with Darnell Mooney, as we discussed earlier. If we don't get that, we are going to be looking at Pat Freiermuth. I'll be completely fine with either. I like Freiermuth in this range. We were talking about drafting Justin Fields the second that we had Darnell Mooney fall to us in the 6th round. Irv Smith Jr. off the board, so let's go ahead. Let's say Justin Fields here, pick 138. I think that's going to be a no-brainer selection. I really like our team so far. Obviously, we have a lot of running backs that I know people are not fans of. I know people hate Josh Jacobs. That's why we get him at 79. I know people hate Cam Akers. That's why we get him at 55. I know people hate Cordell Patterson. That's why we get him at 114. But so far at running back, we have Austin Ekeler, Cam Akers, Josh Jacobs, Cordell Patterson. At wide receiver, we have Deebo Samuel, Mike Williams, Darnell Mooney, Hunter Renfrow, Treylon Burks, Russell Gage. At quarterback, we have the combination of Justin Herbert and Justin Fields. So I really like the team. I think that we can call this the all Justin team. So we have a cool little nickname for it, which maybe that boosts team morale. But we'll see. We'll see. We obviously desperately need tight end value, but to be completely honest with you, I'm not too worried about that. I mean, if we miss out on an elite level tight end, like I'm fine waiting till the end and grabbing 3 guys. Okay. So we have DJ Chark off the board here at 140. And once we take Justin Fields, we're done drafting quarterbacks. Like when we have the combination of Herbert, who we took in the 4th, and Justin Fields in the 12th, I think we easily have enough upside with the position where we're not taking another guy, and we're just hoping that these other teams start to take quarterback. Like, come on. I don't even know who you would assume goes off the board after this. Is Matt Ryan? No, Lawrence, Winston, Matt Ryan. Those are the next 3 guys. I'd imagine they're not in play here, though. Michael Carter off 143. Really like the Michael Carter pick. I mean, we talked about this all offseason. A running back that should have a role as a pass catcher early on, and then he should transition over to being a running back with 3 down upside if Breece Hall were to go down later on in the year. So you're first drafting a running back that has somewhat like a J.D. McKissic role. Or maybe that's not even the perfect example, but a running back that is going to get you enough value as a pass catcher. And then later on in the season, you are still going to have some upside if the starter were to go down in front of him, where you do have that handcuff appeal. But Alexander Mattison, the best handcuff in fantasy football, off the board, 145. It would have been great to have him on the way back around at 151. But in reality, that's just so unrealistic to be able to get Alexander Mattison there. Mattison has been a player falling down a considerable amount, though. Okay. Jacoby Myers off the board. What's the report on Nico Collins here? Okay, draws pass interference. I don't care. Thank you for the report. Thank you for the report. Okay, Nico Collins off 147. There's one receiver I'd be excited about. If not, no big deal. I think we can take our last running back. Robbie Anderson goes. We have been seeing Robbie Anderson go higher in these high-stakes leagues than just the regular drafts on Underdog. It's definitely something I've noticed. Robbie Anderson goes higher in pretty much every high-stakes draft that we do than his ADP. Keel Herbert goes 149. James Robinson as well. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to get our wide receiver that we like. Just chasing players that have upside to elite level finishes in weeks 15, 16, 17. I think that Christian Watson has just that. Now, of course, with Christian Watson, a very wide range of outcomes. Christian Watson could come out here and Christian Watson could be an absolute dud this upcoming season. But it's a tournament draft. We're not playing for 6th place in this 12-team league. I'm playing for first place in the entire contest. So I really like the idea of just going through and drafting one of those players that could be a great option for the final 3 weeks. Okay. Carlito says, you're wrong about Dameon Pierce, bro. He's one of them dudes. Okay, let me know this right now. Let me pull up Dameon Pierce's ADP at this point. And let me figure out who you are drafting him over. Let's try to figure out what y'all think of Dameon Pierce in this live chat. Okay, so Dameon Pierce's ADP currently has him right behind Ramondre Stevenson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Chase Edmonds. Who do you prefer in fantasy football right now? Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Dameon Pierce? CEH or Dameon Pierce? I'll be the first person to admit, hell, Dameon Pierce may be a lot more talented than Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He may be a lot more talented than Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but at the same time, from a fantasy football standpoint, so it looks like every single person voting Dameon Pierce. So let's move the bar a little bit higher here. Dameon Pierce or Josh Jacobs? Dameon Pierce or Josh Jacobs? Okay, so let's swing this back around. I think we have to go ahead. I think we probably have to start bringing in tight ends here. Or do we take Isaiah Spiller and get the... No, let's take a tight end. Let's go Gesicki. Obviously, Mike Gesicki plummeting down drafts right now. Doesn't look great for Gesicki in Miami. But at the end of the day, I think that he is a talent. And we're just going to take 3 tight ends and hope that we get some random spike weeks. Okay. So it looks like most people are saying, or it's like a 50-50 between Josh Jacobs and Dameon Pierce. It's like a 50-50 between Josh Jacobs and Dameon Pierce. Like, at that point, guys, I'm just completely off of him. Like, there will always be someone higher in a draft on Dameon Pierce than I am. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. If someone wants to go take Dameon Pierce in the 6th round, you can do it. If you hit on rookie season James Robinson, if Dameon Pierce is the running back 6 on a points per game basis, great. I'm happy for you. But James Robinson is an outlier of all outliers. I would probably be betting against that where I could. Okay. So Evan Ingram off the board. Thank God we took Gesicki at pick 162. I mean, we take Gesicki and then look at that tight end run. Everett, Tunyon, Higbee, Hayden Hurst, Evan Ingram, all off the board immediately after. And we still need some of these guys as well. Like, we are not sitting pretty at tight end right now. There are 3 guys on the draft board that I currently really like that I would be excited about getting back. Marvin Jones goes 170, not one of those guys we were looking at. Benjamin goes 171, not one of those guys we were looking at. I think we're completely fine here. Van Jefferson goes. Van Jefferson was a wide receiver that I would have liked at 175. If we're just going to be looking at the spike week potential you would have when he's back healthy in Los Angeles. So let's see. Dr. Stangley goes Sammy Watkins. Chi-Town True on the clock. Do they take Matt Ryan? Yeah, they have Michael Pittman. Matt Ryan falls 18 picks past his ADP. So I'd imagine they lock in Matt Ryan at this pick to pair up with Michael Pittman. I think that's almost a no-brainer for him. They go Matt Ryan. We're going to go ahead. We're going to get Jameson Williams. Going right back to what we were discussing earlier on when we take Christian Watson, when we take Treylon Burks. Yes, these wide receivers do not project well from a median standpoint. At the same time, maybe at week 1, you don't love the roles that they're sitting in. Obviously, Jameson Williams probably not going to play the first month of the season. But at the end of the day, we're chasing upside weeks 15, 16, 17. 4 teams out of 12 here advance. If we can find a player that has that second half of the year breakout, which I think Jameson Williams can, it's a no-brainer selection. Pick 175 in my opinion. Literally a no-brainer selection. Let me know if you think we should have gone Isaiah Spiller instead. We had Ekeler. We have Justin Herbert. Obviously, we were already making that bet on the Los Angeles Chargers offense. Yeah. So we have Zay Jones off the board, 181. And once we take Jameson Williams here, we're probably done. What we need at this point is we need to bring in 2 tight ends. We need to bring in another running back as well. So let's go tight end, running back, tight end. There is a tight end that I really like in the 18th that y'all know of, but he has been sliding up more and more lately. I'm not sure how likely we are to get him. So this team on the clock has 3 quarterbacks already. They took Tannehill. They go 4 QBs. They have Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson, Ryan Tannehill, and Mac Jones. That's great for us. It's going to be pushing down quarterback value later on that we're probably excited about. Let's go ahead. Let's get Noah Fant as our second tight end here. I think the Noah Fant selection is going to be a no-brainer. I mean, obviously, horrendous situation, but a great talent here. Bringing him in as our tight end 2, I think we can bring in a tight end 3 as well that we're completely fine with. And if y'all want another draft after this, please go down there, drop a like on the live stream. If we hit 400 likes in the stream, we will go ahead. We will fire up a 3rd draft at this point. But I'm sure we'll get there. I think we are only like 30 likes away. Okay. Well, let's move this down. I don't even want to recap this team. I love this team. I'm very happy about this. Wasn't super happy when we got to 107. We were looking for a top 6 pick, but in reality, I think that this board's fallen to us. I don't think we've reached on value in too many spots. I know a lot of people are going to hate the Cam Akers pick. I know a lot of people are going to hate the Josh Jacobs pick, but still, I really like what we've done. Okay. So let's move this down. Brevin Jordan, Isaiah Likely off the board. To be completely honest with you, those were not the tight ends I was looking at, so I'm fine seeing them go. Yeah, you're going to have to see Marcus Mariota and these other quarterbacks slide up this draft board once you have that one team taking Josh Allen and then 3 more quarterbacks. Josh Allen and then 3 more guys, 4 quarterbacks, and one of those guys came from round 3. Chris Evans off the board at 195. What's the report that you have with Marlon Mack? Works in second half. Oh, that is gross. RIP Marlon Mack. Mack had 10 carries for 55 yards during Thursday's preseason win against the 49ers. After starting the Texans' first 2 exhibitions, Mack didn't take the field until the second half of the preseason, week 3. Rest in peace. But let me know who you want. Do you want Austin Hooper or Logan Thomas? In my opinion, it's not going to be close between anybody else here. It's Austin Hooper, Logan Thomas. Usually I take Logan Thomas, but usually Austin Hooper doesn't fall here to the middle of the... You know what? I kind of just want to go ahead and take Hooper. We have Treylon Burks. Maybe we just go make that concentrated bet on the Tennessee Titans offense. We have... Looks like Thomas, Hooper, Thomas, Hooper, Hooper. Okay. I think we go ahead. We take Austin Hooper. I mean, it is split. I've taken a lot of Logan Thomas in other drafts. But if we're going to get Austin Hooper here on a build where we also have Treylon Burks as another Tennessee Titans pass catcher, maybe it makes sense. Obviously, we're getting him a nice price point as well, falling 14 picks past his ADP. So let's go ahead. Let's grab him 199. Okay, and let's move this down as well. Donovan Peoples-Jones, pick 200. Marlon Mack off the board as well. We can't take a fourth tight end, even though we wait this late to grab our first guy, pick 162. We're going to go ahead. We're going to look to grab a running back here. Who do you want? I'm not taking Jeff Wilson. Who do you want at running back? Spam the chat right now. We need one more guy. Our current running back room consists of Austin Ekeler, Cam Akers, Josh Jacobs, Cordell Patterson. We need one more guy. Keep in mind, I'm usually looking for upside weeks 15, 16, 17. Don't necessarily love that case with a Mike Davis or really any of these running backs, so I'm going to be honest. Okay, it looks like... It's like most people vote for Gus Bus. Looks like most people are voting for Gus Edwards, and I will say Gus Edwards is not a great pick. It's a little split elsewhere. I don't love the idea of drafting Edwards. Let's go ahead. Let's do it. I mean, yes, I would say at this point, if you have to bet who scores more points this upcoming season between Gus Edwards and Mike Davis is probably the bet. When you're getting the extra 4 weeks from Mike Davis at the beginning portion of the season, I'm not going to be surprised at all when Mike Davis has the higher advance rate between the two players. But as we always say, specifically in these drafts, we're looking for ceilings in weeks 15, 16, 17. So I guess if you think that Gus Edwards comes off the PUP and is eventually a running back here in Baltimore, that he's a fine value in the 18th. It's very scary. Obviously, you don't have him for at least the first month of the season. We don't even know what he's going to be like after that. So I'm not in love with the Gus Edwards value. It is what it is. It is what it is. We're drafting for weeks 15, 16, 17, as I've said so many times before. Let's go ahead. Let's set up a private draft here. It's going to be a $3 private draft if you want to join. Of course, you can find it in the live chat. It says a $3 draft here. $3 private draft, cumulative scoring weeks 1 through 17. Doesn't have the fantasy football playoffs. And it's best ball as well. So no time commitment during the season. You're not submitting your starting lineup. You are not making trades. You're not doing the waiver wire. That's how I'm able to do 700 of these drafts every single offseason. I mean, at least this offseason. I think we're going to hit 700, especially if we do that 24-hour live stream. Okay, but let's pull this back around. We're at the 102. Okay, so we're going to be in a good spot. Derek is out here with us. We have Chad Smith, Will Ferrell, Master of Puppets. Two people that think that they need to have the longest names on Underdog Fantasy. So you see their names slide right into each other here. Why are you picking a name so long, my friend? Why are we picking a name so long? You see this? Fantasy Flock. Super simple, straight to the point, easy to read. That's how it's done. And if you want to get in our next draft, of course, make sure you go ahead. Make sure you go to Underdog Fantasy. Link in the live chat. Link in the description of the video. Go sign up for Underdog. Use promo code FLOCK when you sign up. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You will get our 2022 fantasy football rankings. You will get our 2022 fantasy football draft guide on top of that. So make sure you're taking advantage of it. You can find the link in the description and in the live chat, as we already said. And that draft guide is going to help you out a crap ton, even if you've already had your draft. Okay. So Taylor off the board. So let's go ahead. Let's take CMC here. I mean, CMC does not even have an ADP at 2 anymore. Christian McCaffrey, ADP 1.9. A lot of people are taking Christian McCaffrey at 1. A lot of people are taking CMC at 1. So we have Jefferson, Kupp, Ekeler. Ekeler going before Chase. At this point, I'm fine with it. At this point, I'm going to be fine with it. I mean, we would have gone out here and gone on some little speech about how you needed to take a wide receiver round 1. The running back value you'd have had in round 2 would have been fantastic. if it was before the Isaiah Spiller injury, if it was before Isaiah Spiller just looked like he was not it anyway. So yeah, I think it's fine. Mixon, Najee Harris, Dalvin Cook off the board. Not too much to discuss here. I mean, it really just does come down to who are you wanting? Who are you wanting at this point? Saquon Barkley goes 14. DeAndre Swift off the board, 16. We're obviously wanting wide receiver value to make it to us, but in reality, very rarely are you going to get a wide receiver at the end of the second round that you're excited about. What we're probably looking to do is take Chubb. We're probably looking at a Nick Chubb at this point. Sam says, I'm Chi-Town True, 106 in the last Underdog. How much did I mess it up? Saw you got some crazy Matt Ryan value for taking Michael Pittman. I was like, oh, taking Michael Pittman was probably messing up. Let me go through and pull up your draft. Of course, thank you for always drafting with us and hanging out with us in the stream, my man. But let's go ahead and pull this up. Big dog. We're going to get Tyreek Hill here. I mean, a very basic pick. We did this exact same thing whenever we had the 102 earlier on. You take Tyreek Hill in the second, you get Nick Chubb or Leonard Fournette on the way back around at 3. Like the team at the 2-3 turn that already went ahead and they took Jonathan Taylor. Very, very rarely is that team going to be willing to double dip on the running back position. So if you like the running back value here with Fournette or with Nick Chubb, you're able to get one of these guys on the way back around. Okay, so Fournette goes. We're going to go ahead. We are going to take Nick Chubb to pair alongside Christian McCaffrey. Literally, this is the exact same start we had in the first draft tonight. The exact same start. I mean, the other one, we took Nick Chubb before Leonard Fournette. This one, it doesn't really matter. Check out Sam's draft in the other one. He went Brady and Matt Ryan. I'll say personally, I could be wrong when I do this, but if Matt Ryan's my second quarterback and we didn't grab like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar, Justin Herbert, I'm probably drafting 3 guys. That's just a personal preference. I may be wrong when I do that. Aaron Jones, Damian Harris, Rachaad White. Rachaad White, obviously, the correlation with Brady. James Robinson at a massive value. Mark Ingram. I'm not a Mark Ingram guy, but I understand why someone would want to draft him. Stephon Diggs, Michael Pittman, Terry McLaurin, Chris Godwin. So you get the double stack there with Godwin and Rachaad White with Brady. Allen Lazard, DeAndre Hopkins, Julio, Paris Campbell. So all in on the Indianapolis Colts offense going Matt Ryan, Michael Pittman, Paris Campbell, Mo Alley-Cox. Really like the Pat Freiermuth pick where you got him as well. Interesting team. I personally probably go ahead and take a third quarterback, but I know most people aren't doing that at this point. Okay. So Cortland Sutton goes 35, and we have some messages in the chat saying, y'all keep hating on Javonte. Do you think Javonte should go much higher than where he goes here? I think I have Javonte Williams ranked right around the same spot. Like, let me know, how much higher do you think Javonte Williams should actually go? Where are you pushing him to? Zach says Javonte Williams top 3 running back this year. That's a little aggressive, my friend. That is a little aggressive. Yeah, Mr. Steph says he's fine where he is. Yeah, I don't have any super hot Javonte Williams takes. Because with Javonte, obviously, if something were to occur to Melvin Gordon, yes, he truly does have an elite level ceiling. Like, Javonte Williams could be a top 3 running back in fantasy if something were to occur to Melvin. But at the same time, from a median projection standpoint, like, we've seen Chubb be a low-end running back 1 in fantasy before in a committee. We haven't seen that from Javonte Williams, even if the offense is going to be significantly better now that you have Russell Wilson in Denver. I don't know. It is difficult. Derek goes ahead and takes Ezekiel Elliott at pick 42. Derek, let me know your thought process on Zeke. I know a lot of people are worried about Ezekiel Elliott at this point. We took Breece Hall in the 5th round in a draft earlier today. We decided to go Mahomes and Breece Hall on the turn. So now that Lamar's off the board, we may end up going with the Mahomes build as well. Breece Hall goes. So yeah, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Patrick Mahomes. We're going to lock in the elite level quarterback here at pick 47. This is literally the exact same thing we did 2 drafts ago from the 102. Go Mahomes, CMC, Chubb, and Tyreek Hill. Thomas says, I was in the last big dog with the Bengals stack. Good luck this season. Good luck, my man. Thank you so much for drafting with us. Appreciate you hanging out in the live stream with us as well. Good luck. Pump says, had an ESPN money draft today. Got the first pick in the 12 team and went Taylor, Kelsey. Okay, by the way, I like Deontay over Juju, but we took Mahomes. But going back to this, you had Jonathan Taylor at the 101 and then Travis Kelce making it back to you at the end of the 2nd round. How? And you still went 5th round, Patrick Mahomes to get the Kelce stack. Great, 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 great team. I would be interested if it's a shallow format, which I assume it is, to go through and to take Brandon Cooks and a depth wide receiver and see if we can go through, see if we can trade them for an upgrade at that wide receiver 2 slot over Cooks. I think given the target share you should have in Houston this upcoming season, Brandon Cooks will be a wide receiver with a very high floor. I do question the ceiling that you're going to have for the Houston Texans, though. Derek says, I never take Zeke or Derrick Henry. I like changing up drafts on these privates. I'll say, Derek, changing up drafts on these privates, what is that doing for you? If we get in a $250 draft and then you do the same thing you always do, and then a $3 draft, you mix it up a little bit from exposures. One of these $3 drafts is what? Like 85? I mean, one of those $250 drafts is like 85 of the $3 ones. You got to draft a lot of Ezekiel Elliott in those $3 private drafts to balance that exposure. Now, Kyler Murray off the board, pick 57. Boyer says, Mason, what are the chances of you doing a massive draft? Probably close to 0%, guys. Like, the thing is, if y'all don't know, the massive draft on Underdog is the $250 buy-in draft. I've said this like every single night in the live stream since that draft's come out. I can either do 10 $250 drafts, or I can do one of those. That's like a $250 draft every night on the live stream for like 2.5 weeks. Or one massive draft where it's a slow draft, so we can't even stream it. We'd have to go through and just make a video on. Like, I think it makes a lot more sense for us to just go through and fire up as many of these $250 ones as we can, and not just blow the entire load on that one draft. Okay, so we have DK Metcalf off the board here, 61. Lance, obviously, just going higher and higher. Lance now a late 5th round pick. And this isn't something that, like, never happens. We saw Trey Lance 2 nights ago in a high-stakes league go before Kyler Murray. Like, I think it's pretty wild. Y'all know I've loved Trey Lance for a very long time. But at some point, we're going to have to say that this maybe is going a little bit overboard. I don't know if we're at that point quite yet, but we're getting close. We are getting close. Okay. So now we have Elijah Moore, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Rashad Bateman last, they'll pick 62. In reality, I think Bateman should possibly be going after Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he should be going alongside Elijah Moore. Like, I think all these guys should probably be going after David Montgomery. So very interesting here for us to see these Bateman have an ADP of 54. Like, I don't get why people would be worried about drafting Mark Andrews in the 2nd, given the passing volume in Baltimore, and then be willing to draft Rashad Bateman in the 5th. Okay. So you have Joe Burrow pick 70. Let's go ahead. Let's take Adam Thielen. We need a wide receiver at this point. I mean, y'all know I'm not a massive fan of Dalton Schultz. So let's go Adam Thielen, pick 71, and then we're probably going to take the player that we always grab, the most hated player in fantasy football. At this point, we are just, holy crap. This team takes Dalton Schultz on the same build where they have Darren Waller and George Kittle. Dear, are you kidding me? I guess we'll take Drake London. I mean, we need a wide receiver. And at the same time, if we're looking at the high stakes drafts, we're going to be firing up. We've already drafted enough Josh Jacobs there. We're not going to get a lot of Drake London in the 7th round anymore now that his ADP has been steamed up a little bit. So let's go Drake London, pick 74. And let me go and see how busy the $250 draft lobby is. We may fire up another $250 draft right after this one, or maybe halfway through this one. We'll see how close that is to filling. Yeah, because that overall contest is probably going to be filled tomorrow night. So there are 7 spots open in that other draft. We probably are going to fire up a $251 to another $250 draft after this if you want to join with us. So if you're a hater in the live chat, I got great news for you. You're able to go put your money where your mouth is. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Go use promo code FLOCK. When you sign up for Underdog Fantasy, use promo code FLOCK. Make sure you check your email afterwards, because you are going to be looking at our draft guide. You're going to be looking at our rankings, and they'll also match your deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. But we have some of these running backs going off the board here in the middle of the 7th. You have Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Chase Edmonds all off the board. I mean, in reality, I think that a guy like Josh Jacobs in this range is a strong value. It is interesting to see when we're not the team drafting him that, hell, so, at least someone else is. At least someone else is. Willie out here in the chat, happy to see you, my man. Hope that you are having a good day, and let me know if you want to go hit the gym anytime soon. Let me know if you want a man to show you what it's like to lift some heavy weights. Now, Scuba Diver says Dameon Pierce next. Wait, Dameon Pierce was still available? I figured Dameon Pierce was off the board at the 101. We drafted at the 102. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. I took Christian McCaffrey at pick 2. I took Christian McCaffrey at 2 because I thought Dameon Pierce went at 1. This is the most embarrassing thing I've ever done in my entire life. I did not know that team at 1 decided to go Jonathan Taylor. I thought they decided to go Dameon Pierce. We fired up Christian. I would have. That's embarrassing. That is embarrassing. Okay. Let's move this back down. Dameon Pierce goes off the board, pick 84. Sadly, I embarrassed myself on the live stream. We're not going to be able to get him. We'll take him in the. If we get the 101 in the $250 draft, we're taking Dameon Pierce. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Now, Russell Wilson off the board here, pick 86. I don't even know what we want to see, to be honest. Actually, in the back of my mind, I know what we want. I don't want to say it out loud because I don't want to get sniped, though. Ballsy says, are the updated rankings you dropped today for best ball or redraft? Okay, so if y'all look at those rankings that we put out, I mean, if you go sign up for Underdog Fantasy, of course, Underdog drafts are best ball drafts. But when I say you get my draft guide, when I say you get my rankings, I am not putting out rankings for best ball leagues. I'm putting out rankings for the regular fantasy football draft that you are going to be playing in. So no, those were not best ball rankings. Those are just 2022 fantasy football draft rankings. Okay. Sky Moore goes off the board 92. Hunter Renfrow 93. Okay, so I assume we just go ahead. We take Chris Olave here. I'm not as excited about grabbing Olave if we are looking at a format that obviously is cumulative scoring weeks 1 through 17. So we're not as incentivized to back out their production for weeks 15, 16, 17 with the elite level upside with some of these rookies. But it is a value. I think that we are fine to make the pick. Okay. And then after this, Derek Carr off the board 96. So this team going out there, getting their guys. To say the least. I mean, they have Darren Waller, George Kittle, and freaking Dalton Schultz all on the same roster. Let's go ahead. Let's monopolize every single touch here in Cleveland. Let's take Kareem Hunt. I think it is intriguing just to make sure that we have that extremely high floor at that running back spot every single week on a week-to-week basis. We make that correlated bet that this offensive line is going to be great. Maybe at the same time, we make the correlated bet that Deshaun Watson's able to elevate the overall offense when he comes back in the final 6 weeks. And we do have a significant amount of trips to the red zone, at least compared to what we've historically had with the Cleveland Browns. Okay. Boyer says Mason needed to drop a top 100 rankings, including running backs, receivers, and tight ends. My friend, if you go sign up for Underdog Fantasy, use promo code FLOCK when you sign up for Underdog Fantasy and make a $10 deposit that they match dollar for dollar up to 100. So it's essentially free for you. Even if you don't want to view it that way, it's $10. You can get my top 150 rankings. You can get all my analysis with it. And at the same time, you support this channel and you can have some fun getting drafts with me. So don't tell me I need to make a video ranking 100 players. You know how difficult that would be for me to go through in a video and rank 100 guys versus you supporting the channel by going and making a $10 deposit on Underdog Fantasy with the link in the description using promo code FLOCK. Are you kidding me, my friend? Okay, so Antonio Gibson off the board, 105. Obviously, Gibson falling a considerable amount here. I mean, with Antonio Gibson. Trust me. I've drafted him before this. I've drafted Antonio Gibson this offseason before the 9th round, and I haven't been grossed out as we've done it. Obviously, things have changed over the past few weeks. I'll say Antonio Gibson has the upside where I think pick 105 isn't the worst thing in the world. Okay. So we have Stafford off the board. Bobcat coming out says, how many guides do you have? So if you go to flockfantasy.com, we had a 2022 Dynasty rookie draft guide. So obviously it's going to be for your Dynasty leagues. Over 100 pages on this year's rookie class. If you also look at flockfantasy.com, we have a Dynasty research book. That's like long-term trends with fantasy football, historical analysis. That's also over 100 pages. And then we have our 2022 fantasy football draft guide, which that's for your casual redraft league, which I'd imagine 99% of people in this live stream are for. Yeah, so on the Dynasty channel, we can go out there. We can talk about those Dynasty draft guides. But if you sign up for Underdog Fantasy, you don't get all 3 of the draft guides. That'd be like literally over 500, 600 pages of information. You just get the 2022 fantasy football draft guide, which is going to help you if you're a redraft player and you don't play Dynasty. Okay, so Julio Jones, Rondale Moore going off the board here. We're not necessarily dying to grab some more wide receivers. Did we pass on? Please tell me we didn't embarrass ourselves and pass on. Yeah, no. MVS went right before us at that last pick. So we aren't going to be able to get that correlation in with Patrick Mahomes, with either Marquez Valdez-Scantling or Sky Moore, or Clyde Edwards-Helaire for that matter. We may be able to go through. We may be able to get McCole Hardman in the 11th. But Cordell Patterson off the board, 115. Garrett Wilson, 116. I'm surprised Chase Claypool hasn't fallen more than this in ADP. Like a few weeks back, Claypool had an ADP, I believe, of 108. Maybe it was like 103. Okay, Willie says, I'm trying to put my mom in a new bins off this Underdog money. Yeah, I guess if you had a player prop high enough, which I wouldn't recommend going and putting that much money on a player prop, but I guess it's not impossible. We're going to take Melvin Gordon here over Kenneth Walker. If you look at my rankings, I have Kenneth Walker dramatically before Melvin Gordon because you are going to be looking at Walker, in my opinion, with a running back that does have a very high ceiling weeks 15, 16, 17. But if he's going to miss the beginning portion of the season, we have to move him down in a league where obviously you don't have the fantasy football playoffs. But with that being said, when he falls to us at the beginning of the 11th round, let's go ahead. Let's take Kenneth Walker here. We passed on him earlier for a reason. I understand why people would want to pass on Kenneth Walker. Trust me, I get it. You don't have to make that argument for me. But at this point, when he's going between Rachaad White and Kenneth Gainwell, we're getting a running back that was just selected at the top end of the 2nd round in this year's draft class that has the elite athletic profile, that has the size to be a 3-down guy. I think he is someone that we want to go ahead and draft at this price. Okay, so let's move this down. Joshua Palmer, 125 here. Justin Fields, 126. Tico says, we need to get Willie on the flock. I know y'all will not believe this, but this guy Willie in the chat has been on the flock before. Willie and I have recorded a multitude of podcasts on the flock, probably 5 or 6. If you were not here if you were not one of the 3 viewers for that content, I'm telling you, you were missing out. That was peak Fantasy Flock Network. Now, Michael Gallup off the board here, pick 130. Gallup is someone that I definitely think you have to move up. He was a great value here regardless, but now that you're getting the positive reports that he's avoiding the PUP, I think Gallup's just a no-brainer selection here if you're going to look at the upside that you have in the Dallas Cowboys offense. Okay. Bobcat says, does Underdog have over-under parlays? Yes, Underdog does. Underdog has everything, my friend. Underdog. We'll be looking at some of the parlays once we get to the actual season. I mean, in the preseason, I'm not dying to go out there and fire up some parlays. Like I've not made Underdog will give out like free bets in the preseason. Like they had a promo that was like over under half a total yard for Kenny Pickett. I went through and I made a bet on that one, but outside of that, I'm not crushing preseason projections enough to understand what a good bet would be for NFL preseason on a player prop parlay. So I've steered clear. We've only made one Underdog bet this offseason, and that was just the freebie they gave us with Kenny Pickett. And they gave that to everybody who signed up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. Okay. So now we have Jahan Dotson, Romeo Doubs, Jalen Tolbert all off the board here. I like seeing Tolbert finally go behind Michael Gallup. Do y'all remember Jalen Tolbert going before Garrett Wilson in these drafts nonstop? Straight up tough to see that. Now, of course, it's okay. Are these people giving me a gift? Are they letting me have McCole Hardman at 143? There's no way they're letting me have McCole Hardman here, right? With Patrick Mahomes, 143, McCole Hardman. Be very excited about this. There are a couple different players that I'd be looking at in this range. McCole Hardman off the board. So at this point, we are. Let me be quiet. Irv Smith Jr. goes. Okay, Irv Smith Jr. was going to be the player that we take, but now we have to take Albert O. Last tight end in this range, and this team here, Starag, literally took Waller, Kittle, and Dalton Schultz all on the same roster. All on the same roster. So they go Christian Watson. I think at this point, we probably want a receiver that's going to front load his production through the first half of the season when we brought in a couple rookies like Chris Olave as well as Drake London. So DJ Chark is going to be fine with that. I mean, if we're going to be looking at DJ Chark here, this is a wide receiver that should benefit from the absence of Jameson Williams, specifically at the beginning portion of the season. Now, I am going to be worried long-term with DJ Chark and the upside that we may have for the Detroit Lions offense once you have Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DeAndre Swift, TJ Hawkinson, all getting targets. But we already have those long-term options this season with the combination of Drake London and Chris Olave. So let's bring in someone that will give us production at the beginning portion of the year, because remember, this is that private draft cumulative scoring weeks 1 through 17, where we don't need to just prioritize the final 3-week stretch. Okay. Now, we have a couple more receivers going here. Hunter Henry goes. I think that here, like, Hunter Henry is not really any different than Alberto. I mean, all these tight ends in this range are about the same. Usually I don't even draft Alberto. But the thing is, you're just looking at that team that took 3 elite level tight ends on the same roster. So it is inherently just going to skew how the rest of this draft board is. It's just going to skew the rest of this draft board. And Willie out here, Willie, you probably have not heard this, but if we hit 90,000 subscribers before the season starts, which it looks like we actually may end up doing that. I thought it was not going to be a possibility. We are going to do a 24-hour live stream. So if we do a 24-hour live stream, you may be invited on the live stream because you may have to carry it for a part of it. So if you want to come on the live stream for about an hour during that 24-hour stretch, preferably during the 2 to 3 a.m. part, so I can take a step back and maybe get a quick nap in, that'd be really nice. But Matt says, hey, Mason, just finished a 10-team 1 quarterback rookie draft. Got Jameis. What the heck? What are you playing in? Jameson Williams at the 209 in a rookie draft. Tolbert at the 408. If Jalen Tolbert is falling to the 408 in your rookie draft, if Jameson Williams is falling to the 209, who are people taking over them? Who could possibly be going over them? Like, a serious question. List out some players that go before Jameson Williams when he falls to the 209 in a Dynasty rookie draft. Now, Gesicki off the board here, 158. I think we are going to see these tight ends slide up, as we've already discussed. I mean, it would just make a lot of sense here. Let's move this back over. Isaiah Spiller, less appealing in this format because we don't have the fantasy football playoffs. If he is going to be missing at the beginning portion of this season with that injury. Higbee off the board, 159. So far, quarterback, we have Patrick Mahomes. Running back, we have Christian McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Melvin Gordon, Kenneth Walker. Wide receiver, we have Tyreek Hill, Juju Smith-Schuster, Adam Thielen, Drake London, Chris Olave, DJ Chark. And at tight end, we have Albert O as well. Isaiah Spiller off the board, 164. We're not looking at running back here. I don't even know if we could take a running back here. I think Starag's probably going to help us out by taking a couple of these guys when he only has 3. But yeah, I think we're going to be hammering in some receivers. Hayden Hurst, actually, I lied to you. We're going to have to go ahead. We're going to have to take Robert Tonyan. I know you're going to say, well, Mason, the team right after you already has 3 of these tight ends. There's a 0% chance they can take another one. That would be a great point if the team right after us was a normal person. But the team right after us drafted Darren Waller, George Kittle, Dalton Schultz. Who the hell knows what they're going to do? They drafted Darren Waller, George Kittle, and Dalton Schultz on the same roster where you can't make trades. So let's take Robert Tonyan. Let's get that out of here, and we'll take whatever New York Giants wide receiver makes it back to us, whether that's Kenny Golladay or Wan'Dale Robinson. Okay. Matt says, Romeo Doubs went 110. George Pickens went 109. Haskins went 2-0. Hassan Haskins went before Jameson Williams in a Dynasty rookie draft. Oh my gosh, my friend, that is hilarious. That is freaking hilarious. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to take a Golladay here. And with Golladay, I understand he can be used as the decoy in New York. Obviously, it's not looking like a great situation right now for Kenny Golladay. I mean, apparently all reports out of training camp were saying, you know what? Not looking like the guy at this point. I mean, definitely something that we need to be going through and monitoring. But at the same time, even if he is the vertical threat in this offense, the pseudo decoy creating space underneath for a player like Wan'Dale Robinson, Saquon Barkley to operate in a best ball format, if he can just get behind the safeties a couple times, then still this could be a player that has some random spike weeks in his range of outcomes. Okay, so let's move this down. Matt says, it's my high school buddies. LOL, my team is stacked. Oh, trust me, I believe you have a stacked team there, my friend. I mean, if that's the value you're getting, I believe you have a stacked team. And real quick, if you want to see another draft, make sure you go down there, drop a like on the live stream. If we get 50 more likes on this stream, we are going to fire up another draft after this one. Now we have Austin Hooper off the board, 178. It would have been nice for us to have Hooper on the way back around, but it is what it is. Like, our third tight end's probably going to be someone I don't want to mention on the live stream because he will go, even though most people probably already know who it will be. But Marvin Jones off the board, 179. What we really want to see is just running back, go. Get these RBs off the board. Okay, so Zay Jones goes 180. Smooth this back around. Sammy Watkins off. We still need quarterbacks as well. That's not even something I was actually thinking about. Yeah, so we only have Patrick Mahomes. And if this is going to be a private draft, I would not do this in a tournament-style draft. Tournament-style draft, you take Patrick Mahomes, you're probably not taking another guy. But because this is a private draft, I think we're incentivized to go ahead and draft 2 more quarterbacks and come in with 3 QB builds, especially if we wait this long on our second guy. So Paris Campbell off the board, 183. Yeah, so it looks like a lot of quarterbacks are going to be in play here for us. Jared Goff goes 184. If we're going to be looking at quarterbacks that would make sense from a stacking perspective, I mean, we could have been looking at Jared Goff to pair up with DJ Chark. We could be looking at, I guess, Baker Mayfield to pair up with Christian McCaffrey. In reality, there are not too many of these quarterbacks that correlate. In reality, I'm not caring too much about that. I'm not going to care too much. But there are a decent amount of teams right before us that only have 1 QB, so I wouldn't be too surprised if we get some of these guys off. What was the report on Corey Davis? In line to play. Okay, is there anything with this? With the Jets' healthy starters expected to play at least a quarter in Sunday's preseason finale against the Giants, Davis is in line to see action in the contest. Davis was among the team's key players who didn't play in the past Monday's preseason game. Blah, blah, blah. I don't care too much. Okay, so let's look at this. Tannehill and Baker already off the board. So let's go ahead. Let's take Carson Wentz. I know we're reaching on Carson Wentz. If this was a tournament-style draft where it was just weeks 15, 16, 17, that's what we cared about. Hell, I'd be taking Deshaun Watson. I'd be pretty happy about the selection as well. But because this is cumulative scoring, we can't just think about the end of the season. Carson Wentz will outscore Deshaun Watson when he gets to play an extra 11 weeks. We're going to take him as well as He correlates with the tight end that I really wanted to take here with Logan Thomas as our third option. So yeah, let's go Carson Wentz and Logan Thomas. And real quick, if you want to get in our $250 draft on Underdog, there's one spot left in the lobby. One spot left in that $250 draft lobby on Underdog. Of course, you can just go find it on the front page. Should be super easy. Just go join. And never mind, that just filled. Okay, so I think we show this entire draft board, and then let's go straight into that $250 draft. And please, if you are enjoying this, make sure you go down there, drop a like in the live stream. Nobody is streaming like us every single night. And I got great news for you as well. We pulled the 105 in this draft. Like I said, I think Ekeler's now in play at that point, but I'm still not going to go Ekeler. We're still probably just going to go ahead and take Jamar Chase. Let's swing this back around to that $250 draft. And is Derek picking next to us? Okay, no, he is not picking next to us. He's picking at the 102. So that's a little bit of a change here. And if you want to get in our next draft, maybe not a $250 draft, but maybe a $3 draft. We do this every single night on the live stream. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. When you sign up for Underdog Fantasy, use promo code FLOCK. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You'll get our 2022 fantasy football rankings, our 2022 fantasy football draft guide. And that's going to help you even if you've already had your draft as well. Literally with a $10 deposit, you're getting 300 pages of analysis, and you get to come out here and hop in some of these drafts with us. Matt coming out says, just so you can see how stacked the squad is, Kyler, Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, Saquon Barkley, Javonte Williams, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, Mark Andrews. That is literally disgusting. There's no other word than that than disgusting. Do your league mates just not care? Do they not care to do any research at all? Like, what's the minimum amount of research that you have to do to know that Jameson Williams is probably someone you should take in the second round of a Dynasty rookie draft? But yeah, like I said earlier, I think you can see Austin Ekeler sliding before Jamar Chase now that we have the updated news with the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm still going to take Jamar Chase here just because I prefer the wide receiver start to this build, knowing the running backs that we're going to have available to us on the way back around in the second round. So let's go Jamar Chase, pick 5. Very standard draft so far through the first 7 picks. I mean, I guess it's a little bit different now that you have Stephon Diggs going at 7 in front of Derrick Henry. This is something that was common about a month ago. But Sam out here again at pick 8 with us. Interested to see what he does. He decided to go Stephon Diggs at 6 in the last draft. Matt says, no, they really don't care, which is sad, but I'll take the free money. That is literally free money. Like, if I were you, I'd be like, hey, guys, you want to up the... Have you heard of inflation? Have you seen how bad inflation is lately? Do you want to up the buy-in? Like let's double the buy-in. That's what I'd be trying to do if that was my team in that Dynasty League. Now we have Derrick Henry making it to pick 10. I mean, this is something that happens not super often, but it's not that rare on Underdog to see Derrick Henry fall this far. Joe Mixon goes at 11. Mixon has been someone, I don't want to say flying up draft boards, but definitely someone I've seen go more and more in the first round now compared to where he was going. Like pick 16 about a month ago on Underdog. Like he has gone up draft boards quite a bit. Okay. DeAndre Swift off the board 13. CeeDee Lamb 14. Tyler says take Gainwell before Kenneth Walker this time. I'm sorry, my man. I'm taking Kenneth Walker over. I'm sorry. I'm taking Ken Walker, whatever you want to call him. We're taking him over Gainwell. Okay. So you have Saquon Barkley off the board here at 16. I don't necessarily know exactly what to expect on the way back around. Let me know. Who do you want here? If this is who we are looking at between Javonte Williams, Mark Andrews, would you rather have Mark Andrews and Jamar Chase through the first 2 rounds or Javonte Williams and Jamar Chase through the first 2 rounds? Let me know. Up to you. I think this is actually, no, never mind. We're going to get one of Deebo Samuel, Aaron Jones. Never mind, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like it's a different type of draft. Yeah, so let's go ahead. Let's say Aaron Jones and Jamar Chase on the same build. I am very excited about this with Aaron Jones. Of course, we do have to be concerned about the red zone usage, if A.J. Dillon takes some of that touchdown upside away from Aaron Jones, but based on the involvement he should have as a pass catcher in this offense, I think Aaron Jones is going to be an easy selection at 20. Tico says, Eagles have the best offensive line in football, and Miles Sanders doesn't have his heart in it anymore. Personally, I am not one to go through and act like I can somehow figure out a player's level of heart that they have in the game. Like, sadly, that's not my expertise. I'd probably be a much... Wait. Derek goes Kyle Pitts over Mark Andrews. Derek, I know you're in the live chat. I need an explanation. I need an explanation for Pitts over Andrews. We're going to go ahead. We're going to get Nick Chubb 29. This is why we decided to take Jamar Chase over Austin Ekeler in the first, because you are going to get this crazy value falling to you with Nick Chubb in the third round. I'm happy. Sign me up for it. Let's go. Chase, Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb through the first three. Easy money. Easy money. Now we have Josh Allen off the board here, pick 30. Interesting to see Allen off the board at 30, not to the Stephon Diggs team. That Stephon Diggs team decided to go ahead and take T. Higgins at 18. I'd imagine to try to go through and get that week 17 correlation between the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals. I'd imagine they were trying to galaxy brain. Like, I don't know. Tico says, why else would Sanders say, don't draft me in fantasy and fake an injury? Okay, I don't want to say fake an injury. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not even going to talk about that. I think if you're saying a player's faking an injury, that's like a whole nother level. But I will bring up him saying don't draft me in fantasy, because that is something that a lot of people talked about. Imagine you are an NFL athlete. Imagine you are an NFL running back. I know, trust me, guys. I love fantasy football. Fantasy football is my entire life. Like, trust me, I get it. But if I was an NFL running back and my job was to do exactly what the coach told me to do, and I would go out to dinner with my wife, and I would have people coming up going, hey, Mason, I drafted you in fantasy this year. What are you doing? And all I'm doing is the best of my ability, trying the hardest I can every single day, doing what the coach is telling me. Do you know how annoying that would be? You know how annoying it would be for Miles Sanders to check in on Twitter and he sees people tweeting at him saying, oh, Miles Sanders, you suck. You scored me 6 points today. I'm going to lose because... That would be the absolute worst. So when someone asks him, hey, what do you think about people on fantasy football telling you that you need to do better? What is he supposed to say? Oh, I'm going to do better for you guys. Don't worry. Draft me. I'm going to do great. No, I think he's going to get annoyed and go, I don't care about fantasy football. My games, what I care about is winning football games, doing what the coach tells me to do. I can only do what the coach tells me to do. If you're going to be worried about fantasy football, he's like, I'm not worried about fantasy football. You shouldn't have drafted me. It's not like Miles Sanders coming out here going, I don't care anymore. Don't draft me in fantasy. No. Joey says, doing another $3 draft tonight after this. Probably. We're only an hour 50 into the live stream. Derek says, tell me you would be surprised if Kyle Pitts outscored Andrews. I wouldn't necessarily be surprised, but at the same time, I know you've already drafted a crap ton of Pitts. From an exposure standpoint, wouldn't it be nice to mix it up and get Mark Andrews at pick 26 when you have the option to? But Patrick Mahomes off the board 40. Justin Herbert 36. Josh Allen went a little early as well. So you have quarterbacks across the board going off the board earlier than usual. Okay, so this team on the clock. Let's see what they decide to do. They go Deontay Johnson based on the running back value that I think we can get back around in the 5th. Let's go ahead. Let's take Terry McLaurin here. Do not do this in your casual fantasy football league. This is specifically for Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy, where you have to start 3 of these wide receivers. I mean, if you're looking at my rankings for a casual fantasy football format, I do not have Terry McLaurin this high. I have the running backs in front of him. But just based on how we're looking at this draft board, I'm telling you, we are going to get a running back value that we like later on. So let's just go ahead. Let's lock in Terry McLaurin here. Yeah, Lamar Jackson going to the Mark Andrews team. Not too much of a surprise there. Let's see if Derek decides to pull the trigger on Ezekiel Elliott at this point at pick 47 when he's fallen, what, 8 picks past ADP? Derek says, I almost have as much Andrews, like 4% difference. Okay. Chris Godwin to Derek at 47. Yeah, this is why we go Terry McLaurin. We go Terry McLaurin because we're assuming that the wide receivers off the board after push other value down to us. Ezekiel Elliott finally off a 48. Pair up with Jonathan Taylor, Leonard Fournette. So a very strong running back trio that team has there from the 1 spot. Bobcat coming out says, I just signed up with your promo code and deposit money. When do I see your draft guide? Thank you so much, my friend, for supporting the channel. I can't tell you how much that's helps us. So say you deposited $10 on Underdog Fantasy, use promo code FLOCK. Obviously, you already noticed they matched the deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You already got the $20 in your account if you deposited $10. That happens immediately, but it is going to take about 1 to 2 hours for you to get our fantasy football draft guide. If you use promo code FLOCK, it's going to be sent to your email address. If you don't see it with your email, please go check your spam. And if you still don't see it after 1 to 2 hours, please, it shouldn't happen, but if somehow something went wrong, you still don't see it after 1 to 2 hours, send me an email. You can find my email address in the description of the video, and I'd be happy to personally get that taken care of for you. Okay. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Breece Hall, pick 53 here. This is why we decided to take Terry McLaurin over Ezekiel Elliott, because if I'm looking at Breece Hall, to be completely honest, I'd probably rather have him over Zeke. And I understand that here with Breece Hall, yes, this is a running back that we should be a little bit concerned with based on what the team's saying about Michael Carter being the starter, but I'm not drafting Breece Hall for weeks 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm drafting Breece Hall for the final stretch, the second half of the season. Back when we saw Miles Sanders have his rookie season breakout that won fantasy football leagues, it was in the second half of the year. Same thing with what we saw Jonathan Taylor the following season. With these top-end rookie running backs, I mean, 5th round price point for this profile, I'm willing to buy into it. And pick 53 is going to be a no-brainer. Derek says, you guys could join one of these drafts and show me up. That is a great point, Derek. This is something that I deal with on the YouTube channel every single day. There are people in the live chat right now that are trying to roast Derek for drafting. Guys, Derek has probably done 20 $250 drafts with us on the live stream. On the live stream, when we say we are getting into $250 draft lobby, and Derek's in there every single time. I'm in there every single time. And same thing, $10 drafts. Same thing, $5 drafts, $3. If you can get in here and you can beat us, I don't want to speak for Derek. You probably beat me. I'm an idiot. But hell, if you can get in there and you can beat me, let's do it. Let's see it. You don't need to say it in the chat. You don't need to say how much better you are. You can show it. Now, let's see this. Darnell Mooney off the board at pick 62. Elijah Moore, 61. George Kittle and Darren Waller fell a ton in this draft. Very interesting to see the fall for those two players. Okay, so Sam on the clock. He has Kamara at running back. He's got heavy in at receiver with Devontae Adams, Michael Pittman, Allen Robinson, as well as Brandon Cook. So back-to-back drafts for Sam here with Michael Pittman. This time, Michael Pittman fell to pick 32. It's a much more reasonable price point for Michael Pittman. Okay. So Michael Thomas off the board, 65. So Thomas Adams on the clock. They have not taken a running back yet, but of course, no high-stakes drafters ever in their right mind going to take David Montgomery. That's why they have the fish in here. That's why they have me in here to take him for them. So yeah, we are going to go ahead. We're going to take David Montgomery. I'm going to be the sucker in the room. I'll be the first person to admit I'm the sucker in the room. Drafting David Montgomery at pick 62. I'll catch the falling knife. With David Montgomery, yes, very bad situation. Horrible offensive line in Chicago. At the same time, not only is it a horrible offensive line, but this team's going to have a very hard time moving the ball down the field given the receiver core. Not many first downs, not many trips to the red zone. Very bad situation in Chicago for David Montgomery. But at the same time, I'm not worried about Khalil Herbert in the slightest. If we look at his role that he had when David Montgomery came back and was healthy this last season, it was non-existent. He was a running back not used at all. And on top of that, if we are going to be looking at David Montgomery, he was in a very bad situation as well back in 2020. Obviously, the Chicago Bears weren't great in 2020, and he was the running back 7 on a points per game basis. Completely fine going Montgomery here, 68. Dalton Schultz off the board, 72. Interesting to see Dalton Schultz go off the board, 72, when you had George Kittle and Darren Waller falling so much further. So let's see what Derek decides to do. He goes Elijah Mitchell here, saying he ought to draft. I'm sure, my friend. I'm sure. Going Elijah Mitchell, 66. See what else he decides to do. I don't know. Adam Thielen, 74. I mean, I think Adam Thielen is a fine pick there if you're going to be looking for some wide receiver upside. At this point, obviously, we are looking for Joe Burrow. I mean, we take Jamar Chase. It's very easy. This is what every single draft does. It's not unique. I don't want to come out here and act like, oh my gosh, guys, look at me. I am so smart. I took Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. No, everybody does it. So let's go ahead. Let's take Joe Burrow, pick 77. I'd be very surprised if the team in front of us decided to take him. I mean, the team in front of us didn't take Higgins either. So yeah, they go Tony. So we're going to fire up Joe Burrow. And it looks like, based on the receivers going right before us in Chris Olave and Kadarius Toney, that it may be difficult for us to find a wide receiver value on the way back around. Right now at wide receiver, we have Jamar Chase, Terry McLaurin. At running back, we have Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, Breece Hall, David Montgomery. And then at quarterback, we do have Joe Burrow. So it's going to be very tough for us to find actual wide receiver value later, but it is what it is. Derek says he autoed again, Adam Thielen. Derek, let me know what you would have done if you did not go Elijah Mitchell and Adam Thielen. Let me know what you would have done. But now, after we take Joe Burrow, you have Josh Jacobs immediately after, Tony Pollard, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I like the value with these running backs, if I'm going to be honest with you, but at the same time, when we already have 4 of these guys on our roster through the first 6 rounds, we definitely need more running backs going. Like in these high-stakes drafts, wide receivers are just going to be so hard to come by. Derek says, you know, I would have taken Pollard if I wasn't on auto. That is true. That is true. What is your ownership on Pollard at this point? Like, I guess, yeah, you have gone all in on Pollard and really have not drafted. Not drafted much Zeke at all. So Dallas Goedert off the board here, 85. Very interesting to see that these mid tight ends are getting pushed up a bit with Dalton Schultz, 72, Dallas Goedert, 85. Whereas you had like George Kittle and Darren Waller fall into the 60s. Like that is crazy, crazy, crazy. Okay, so let's swing this back around. DeAndre Hopkins still available. What team took Kyler Murray? DeAndre Hopkins fell to pick 88 here. Very interesting. Okay, so if we're going to be looking at players, obviously it'd be very difficult for us to go through and to take another running back, especially, I mean, when running backs in the 9th round are going to be comparable to the guys that we're looking at here. I would imagine that some of these teams, like Sam right now, has 6 receivers, took Allen Lazard in the last round when Lazard fell 10 picks past his ADP. He goes Renfro to take a 7th wide receiver. Rashad Penny off the board. Smush on the clock. Let's see what they decide to do. We are probably Sky Moore, TJ Hawkinson. I think this is our plan. Robert Woods off the board. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's take a wide receiver. These wide receivers are going to be so hard to come by. Obviously, with Sky Moore here, wide range of outcomes, but that's what we're looking for in a tournament like this. We're looking for a wide range of outcomes. We're looking for a player that could break fantasy football. If Sky Moore could somehow actually be the wide receiver 1 in Kansas City after checking every single box as a prospect, that is the player that does have a very high ceiling. Okay. And real quick, if you want another draft, let's call it, we've had about 7,000 views on the live stream. Let's call it about, if this stream gets 750, we'll call it 770 likes. We'll fire up another draft. So if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the live stream. Support the stream. We're streaming every single night. And if you want to get in our next one, it'll be a $3 draft. Make sure you go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK when you sign up. Okay, so George Pickens off the board as well. So you are seeing these wide receivers continuing to fall. I'm sorry, continuing to go. Running backs continuing to fall. We're not dying to take really any running backs here. Tyler Boyd off the board, 98 to Derek. Very interesting Boyd pick. Yeah. Okay, so I think that kind of cements what we're looking to do. Chase Claypool off the board, 99. Miles Sanders. Yeah, so once we have these guys going, I think we have to take a receiver. I think we have to go again for someone with a wide range of outcomes. When we're drafting in a league that has the fantasy football playoffs, 4 teams make it to it, that tournament in weeks 15, 16, 17. Let's go ahead. Let's take Treylon Burks 101. I understand he does have a very low floor. I get it. But at the same time, he does have a very high ceiling if we're looking at his prospect profile, if we're looking at the path to immediate opportunity in Tennessee. So I'm going to take the discount that we're going to get with him. Pick 101. I think it's going to be an easy thing to do as well. So now we have Dawson Knox, Antonio Gibson, Damian Harris all off the board. Sam goes Damian Harris. I think that's back-to-back drafts we've seen Sam go Damian Harris. Lockett finally off 105. I like Lockett in this range as well. I think if we were playing in a private draft where it doesn't really matter to optimize for weeks 15, 16, 17, I'd probably go Lockett. Joey says, Najee Harris over Austin Ekeler, question mark. No, there's a 0% chance you can do that. You have to go Austin Ekeler as the third running back off the board. We had him ranked that way all along, and I think it was like 100% something that was not even up for debate to take Austin Ekeler as the third running back once you have the Isaiah Spiller injury. Tag says, what round for Odell Beckham Jr.? If you're playing in a casual, shallow fantasy football format, just on ESPN or something, you shouldn't draft Odell. He's not going to be ready for a very, very long time. But if you're playing in a best ball tournament, I'd be fine if you wanted to go through, if you just wanted to take him in the 18th. Not excited about it, but if you wanted to do it, it'd be okay. Okay, so Rondale Moore off the board at 108. Swing this back around. What quarterbacks would we be willing to pull the trigger on? We have Burrow so far. If we're going to be looking at guys that we could... I don't want to speak too much here, but I think it's at least something that we're going to have to think about. And y'all know I love Garrett Wilson, but at the same time, I feel like at some point there is a line in the sand that we have to draw saying no more rookie receivers. We have Breece Hall, rookie running back, Sky Moore, Treylon Burks as well. It's not like every rookie in this class is going to hit. So I think at some point we probably have to say, you know what, Garrett Wilson wouldn't make sense even if we want a receiver. This team on the clock goes Julio Jones here. Cordell Patterson off the board at 112. Sam about to pick. I'm imagining maybe it's a Derek Carr selection. He took Devontae Adams in the first. Can't say this with certainty, of course. We don't know. Goes Derek Carr, yeah. I mean, that is what we were expecting. Zach Ertz off the board. Brian Robinson. Let's sit here and think for a second. We took Burrow. If we take Aaron Rodgers, I think we can stop. Yeah, no, the Rodgers is the easiest pick ever. Okay, yeah, I didn't even think about this. We have Aaron Jones. Rodgers is going to be the easiest selection ever. I mean, I think once we take Rodgers, we only have to build around 2 quarterbacks. We're going to be able to save those extra roster spots for an extra receiver. We need to draft 3 tight ends on this team. So Rodgers is going to be a no-brainer. I know we were talking about possibly not drafting any more rookie receivers, but hell, if we end up getting Christian Watson at a price point that we like now, Christian Watson's probably going to be in play for us. Joey says, Mason, how do you get the experience badges? Okay, so once you draft 500 teams, you get the black and white experience badge. And once you draft 1,000 teams, you get the red and white. Black and white's 500 teams on Underdog. Red and white is 1,000. Okay. So now Russell Gage off the board 120. Interested to see him go before Garrett Wilson. Obviously, Wilson's in one of the worst situations you could ever see from not only a rookie receiver, from a receiver in general. but still. Okay, so Kenneth Gainwell off the board. Garrett Wilson goes 123. Let's swing this back around. So I know y'all are telling me, Mason, you can't do it. You can't take Kenneth Gainwell again over Kenny Gainwell. Well, Gainwell's already off, so don't make fun of me when we take Kenneth Walker here. Don't make fun of me when we take Kenneth Walker. Pairing up the number 1, number 2 running back in this year's draft class. Obviously, with Walker, it's concerning. We are probably going to have to front load some production after this once we have all these rookies. But he's off the board. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. I mean, Melvin Gordon's also a great value at the running back position. With Melvin Gordon, we are getting touches on a week-to-week basis. At the same time, we are going to be looking at the contingency value if you were to have an injury occurred to either Javonte Williams. Then all of a sudden, obviously, you would have a very high ceiling for Melvin Gordon. So let's make the pick. I think it's close to a no-brainer here at 125. And then let's scroll this down. We have Pat Freiermuth off the board, 126. Usually Freiermuth is someone that we're looking at as an option in the 12th. But if you really want to take him 126, I'm not going to make fun of anybody for that. And probably a better thing for us to get Melvin Gordon here if we're going to be realistic with it, because I do kind of want to grab Christian Watson on the way back around. So let's try to limit our rookie exposure. Let's try our best. John says, how far are you from getting the red badge? Okay, this is something that I don't know for sure. But I think the drafts that you do maybe don't count until the contest close. So like I got my white and black badge the day that the first or second puppy draft closed. And then I have a feeling that, say if we drafted 100 teams in the first puppy contest, then all of a sudden, like once it closed, it locked, then those 100 drafts finally counted towards our experience. I think that's how it may work. And if that's how it may work, I think we will have our red and white badge the second that Best Ball Mania closes. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Okay. Jalen Tolbert off the board. Derek says, no, they count when you finish the draft. Okay. Very weird timing then. The second that puppy closed, that was like the second that I got that that white and black badge. Okay, but now Tua Tagovailoa off. Great for us. I mean, if we're going to be looking at our team here, we definitely want to have some quarterbacks going off the board whenever we have Joe Burrow and Aaron Rodgers already. So getting guys like Tua Tagovailoa, maybe seeing a Trevor Lawrence go off here is going to be great for us. We can't really go through and take a running back here when we already have 5 RBs, but I imagine Sam probably takes a running back soon. Thomas Adams probably takes a running back soon. This is a team that only has Tony Pollard, Rashad Penny, and Antonio Gibson at the running back position. So I'm assuming we get some receivers falling to us. David Njoku went at 136. Very interesting to get David Njoku off the board. I wonder if they queued him up and then just accidentally ran it down. Okay, Alexander Madison at 137. Y'all know I am not a big Romeo Doubs guy. Like, I legitimately don't want to get him. I don't want to. Like, I hope he gets drafted here so I can take McCole Hardman. I really do think Christian Watson's better. I think McCole Hardman's better. I don't think this is a good price for him. But he falls 16 picks past ADP. We have Aaron Rodgers. I'm not excited about it at all. I think I would just much prefer going like McCole Hardman at the end of the 12th and then Christian Watson in the 13th. Like, now that we bring in Romeo Doubs, like, we literally have Sky Moore, Traylon Burks, Romeo Doubs. I don't know. Can we go Christian Watson? Can we bring in a fifth rookie to this build? Hardman off the board to Derek at 143. Love the Hardman value. Love the McCole Hardman value. KJ Osborne gone as well. Hopefully we get a couple more of these running backs. So I was inverted has Javonte Williams, Darrell Henderson, Tyler Algier. I'd imagine we get another running back off the board by them relatively soon. But yeah, let's see what they decide to do. In my mind, there's a clear player that I want. So Derek goes Isaiah Pacheco. Jameis Winston off. That's even better for us. Nico Collins. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. We are going to get Irv Smith Jr. Trust me, guys, I love Christian Watson in this range. Christian Watson was my initial plan once we decided to take Aaron Rodgers there at 116. But maybe we make the argument, oh, week 17 correlation, yada, yada. In reality, I don't really care. But if we are going to be looking at this, I think that Irv Smith Jr. is a fine value here at pick 149. We need a tight end. We already bet on Romeo Doubs kind of outscoring Christian Watson. I mean, it's fine. I think it's very strong value with Irv Smith Jr. here at 149. I cannot complain about this value at tight end at all. Maybe there's an outside chance we get Christian Watson on the way back around as well. Now we have James Robinson off the board, 152. And that's just Sam. I think that's probably a pretty good running back core considering how late he waited. Like, obviously, it's not a great running back core in a vacuum, but if you consider how wide receiver heavy he started off that draft with, I think that it is going to be something you're just fine with. Wandell goes 155. And guys, I see some people in the chat saying don't care about ADP. Just go ahead and take Christian Watson if you want Christian Watson. The issue is, trust me, I drafted a crap ton of Christian Watson. But if I'm going to draft over 700 of these teams, I have to care about ADP. I have to mix up my exposures. I can't draft out of those 700 teams, 500 teams with Christian Watson and 0 with Romeo Doubs. Like, if Romeo Doubs falls, what? 16 picks past ADP on a build where we have Aaron Rodgers, it's something that we probably just have to go through and just say, you know what, the value's here, let's take it. So Jameson Williams off the board, 157. Williams wouldn't have been a great fit with this build in particular, even though I do like the value of him. I think we got him in what, in like the 16th round in the other $250 draft. Robbie Anderson off. KJ Hamler goes as well. We may be looking at another tight end on the way back around, depending on how this board falls. I mean, obviously, we may end up going Christian Watson as a 4th rookie wide receiver. That would be interesting, to say the least. But Sam on the clock. 5 running backs. He has gone hit running back relatively hard lately. 1 quarterback. I guess that like he could go Matt Ryan here if you wanted. I don't know how excited you would be about that. I mean, personally, I want it. But you have Michael Pittman. Okay, where does he go? He goes Gerald Everett, 161. Okay. Thomas Adams. This is a team that went 5 wide receivers through the first, 6 rounds? Yeah, went with the 0 RB build. Took the elite level quarterback with Kyler Murray. Got the double stack in there in Arizona with Hollywood Brown, Kyler Murray, and Zach Ertz. Let's see what they decide to do. They go Eno Benjamin, 160. Okay, so is it official? Is Eno Benjamin 100% the running back 2 in Arizona? McKinnon off. Oh, guys, I know. We've gone overboard with rookies. But now we are all in on the Green Bay Packers offense. If somehow we are living in a parallel universe where Davante Adams was never a great NFL wide receiver and it was just Aaron Rodgers elevating the entire situation, and that's going to be something that we continue to see going forward, then dear God, this team's going to be great. In reality, that's probably not the case. In reality, we can't assume that the Green Bay Packers offense is the exact same. But right now at receiver, we have Jamar Chase, Terry McLaurin, Sky Moore, Treylon Burks, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson. Running back, we have Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, Breece Hall, David Montgomery, Melvin Gordon. At quarterback, we have Joe Burrow and Aaron Rodgers. Okay. So let's see what else we get on the way back around. Daniel Jones gone. Do we just take... Y'all vote. Galladay or Gesicki. I'm not taking anybody else. These are the 2 guys. I don't care what else you say. Tight end, we only have Irv Smith Jr. Receiver, we have Jamar Chase, Terry McLaurin, Sky Moore, Traylon Burks, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson. First message I see. First message I saw was Mike Gesicki. We're going to go ahead. We are going to take Mike Gesicki. Obviously, reports have been very bad with both players, but that's why you're getting him so cheaply. I mean, Gesicki's playing out of the franchise. I don't think you franchise tag him and then don't use him at all, even if it is going to be a new coaching staff here. So I know it's gross, but in reality, who are we actually taking them ahead of? Like, everybody in this range is gross. Tag asking what round Dameon Pierce went in. Dameon Pierce went at pick 87. 87. Okay, let's move this down. And we still probably want to go ahead and grab a third tight end if we're definitely grabbing a third tight end. I mean, we have what? Round 13, round 15 bets on these tight ends. We're going to get a third tight end. We're going to grab 2 more receivers as well. Hopefully receivers that aren't long-term bets. Like, this is not the team to go through and draft an Odell Beckham Jr. on. This is not the team to even take someone that I really like David Bell. Instead, it's probably a team to go ahead and just get someone that can have a role at the beginning of the season. Maybe someone like an AJ Green. Okay, we have a question. What pick did Ronald Jones go at? Ronald Jones is not getting drafted, my friend. Rojo is no longer getting drafted in these. Okay, so no wide receivers are left available at all anymore. I mean, Galladay's still falling here. Austin Hooper off. I think this is our plan. If we get one of these 2 guys. Hopefully we see some quarterbacks off the board. Selfishly, of course, that's what we want. I don't know how realistic it is to expect. Yeah, Sam ended up getting Matt Ryan significantly behind ADP here as well. Sam, back-to-back drafts going all in on the Colts stack. Matt Ryan, 20 picks behind ADP. He also decided to grab Naheem Hines. He took Michael Pittman, of course. I'm imagining he's targeting Paris Campbell on the way back around. Could be wrong, but I'd imagine that's where he goes. Bears fans takes Jalen Warren, 181. After going Chuba Hubbard 180. It's a bold strategy. Bold strategy. And of course, if you want to get into our next draft, make sure you go down there, hit the link in the live chat, hit the link in the description of the video. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK when you sign up. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. You'll get our 2022 fantasy football rankings. You'll get our 2022 fantasy football draft guide, and you'll be able to have some fun with us in these best ball drafts every single night. And since they're best ball, you don't have that weekly commitment where you have to submit your starting lineup or where you have to go through and work the waiver wire, make trades. Okay. So what are we going to get here? Sam takes Noah Fant from us. Curtis Samuel off the board. We are 1 pick away from getting Galladay at 188. Obviously, Galladay trending in a horrible direction. Let's see what this team in front of us goes Brevin Jordan. So we're going to take Galladay, as we discussed previously. This is a wide receiver that can possibly just be used as a decoy for the New York Giants. And yes, you're not going to be excited about his week-to-week projection if that's his role. But if he occasionally, 1 to 2 games, that's all we need with this pick. 1 to 2 games can get behind the safeties, can deliver some splash plays. I don't think it's going to be the worst pick in the world here. Okay. So let's scroll this down. Let me know what y'all are thinking about this team. In reality, I really like this squad. I really like this squad. I think that we are going to be able to go through. I think we're going to be able to get another tight end that we like here at the very end. Get our third tight end. Be very strong at QB. Be very strong at running back. And respectable at receiver and tight end every single week. But yeah, I think we are getting our guy. I know everybody and their mom screaming at me to go Taysom Hill. I'm going to take Logan Thomas. Another reason I'm taking Logan Thomas over Taysom Hill, despite the fact that I think Logan Thomas could outscore him, is the fact that Logan Thomas has gone undrafted in a decent amount of these. So if you are looking at a uniqueness standpoint, you're getting that added bump up with Logan Thomas, where even if he does crush this upcoming season, like if Taysom Hill and Thomas crush, you should expect less of Logan Thomas in that fantasy football playoff tournament. So let's go Thomas here, pick 197, with the expectation that a lot of these wide receivers are identical for us on the way back around in the 18th round. And let me let me look something up real quick. And we are 90 likes away on the live stream from firing up another draft. If you want to see another draft, make sure you go down there and drop a like in the stream. Let me look up Will Fuller real quick. Yeah. I do not see anything on Will Fuller right now. Very, very sad news. Sad news for the people that have been drafting a decent amount of Will Fuller. Like myself. I have drafted a lot of Will Fuller in best ball tournaments. Private drafts haven't necessarily been going through and slamming them in, but for the upside that he has in those tournament contests, we haven't drafted a lot of Will Fuller. And it's looking like it just may be a wasted pick at this point. Let's move this down. Now, Will Fuller does go off the board here at 203. Probably was going to take him the 18th if he made it to us. J.D. McKissick's still available. Very interesting that McKissick's still on the board. Phillips off the board, 204. Funny that we ended up drafting the wide receiver 3 in Tennessee and Traylon Burks so much earlier. We could have had Phillips this late, but you live and you learn. You live and you learn. And we definitely need another receiver. I mean, obviously, we're kind of betting that we have one of these rookies breaking out, but we need someone to get us through the beginning portion of the season as well. And as we discussed, like an Odell Beckham Jr. is not someone that you can draft here. Taysom Hill off the board, 206. And it looks like we are 80 picks away from firing up another draft. So if you want to see another draft, make sure you go down there, drop a like. Jared Goff, 208. Come on, give us the receiver we want. Give us the receiver we want. Paris Campbell, 209. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense for Sam to just go ahead and take Paris Campbell there when he already has Matt Ryan. Very interesting to see, though. You know what? Actually, I don't like that because you're going with a 2 QB build centered around Derek Carr, Matt Ryan. I think that it's safe to say that you probably need a third quarterback with that construction, as well as that tight end. I mean, tight end, you're going very thin with Everett and Noah Fant. We take A.J. Green. I think A.J. Green is a natural gap in with those rookie wide receivers that may not be productive at the beginning portion of the season. So maybe we can just float until we get a breakout from one of those guys if A.J. Green has the expanded role with no DeAndre Hopkins at the beginning of the year. But I think that should be it for the live stream tonight. Of course, thank y'all so much for being a part of the vlog, supporting the channel. I appreciate all of you. And you should know this by now. We are streaming tomorrow night. I expect you to be out there, and I expect you to hop in some drafts with us. But thank you. Again, I appreciate y'all. Let me get you a link to join our free fantasy football group chat if you want to. I mean, it's completely free. You don't need an email. You don't need a credit card. You don't need anything. You click the link. You choose your nickname, and then you're in a group chat with a crap ton of people to talk fantasy football. Okay. So we just sent that out. I'm going to spam that in the chat. But thank you again. I appreciate all of you all so damn much. I hope you have a great night, and I hope we get to see you out with the stream tomorrow.